Yeah, I use OBS.
Okay, well, yeah.
But I mean, just stream to like Facebook, basically.
Yeah.
But I think you can like multi-platform stream.
Yeah, I think if you do OBS Ninja or something, you can add a bunch of people to that. All right. We're live, man. We're here.
I'm live.
I mean,
I'm alive.
we always were live, or
I knew it. I knew
we really
I was
live?
live. I knew it.
Maybe we're just.
I knew I wasn't a hologram.
Are you though? How do you know?
I don't.
I mean, the whole thing about I think, therefore I am. Does that really apply anymore?
All I know is it tastes like a steak.
I mean,
tastes like a nice juicy steak.
I mean, I guess it beats other alternatives, right?
Right.
Hey, Brandon, what's going on, man? So this is Scott with Jenna and Scot Investigate, and you guys may know this gentleman over here. He is Katie Stafford, Supernatural Inc., the mad paranormal scientist.
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, I also thought, Katie, when I was looking at your site, looking at pictures of you, and I'm like, you should be a country singer. You should spin off and do this whole, I'm like the paranormal mad scientist, and I also have this country singing career. You got the name for it. You wear enough plaid shirts. I mean, right. From Kansas City, it's like it's there, man.
Even worse, I'm from South Carolina.
Well, right, yeah. So you got the twang. Yeah. I mean, it's like just waiting for it. What's up, Phil? But yeah,
I've drowned out a lot of my accent too. Yeah, I would be more if I was to do something like that. It'd be more rockabilly, I think.
I mean, you could do songs like I trapped the gross
Johnny Cash
in the well and shit. I mean, you could make it
Johnny
paranormal thing. Yeah, man. I think. There's not enough paranormal country, man. There's not enough paranormal rockabilly out there. I think there's a
little bit of paranormal rock out there. There's a couple dudes out there. There's on Instagram, I know there's a couple dudes. I can't remember their names right off the top of my head. But yeah, I've seen them on there before. I haven't been on there a lot lately. Yeah. So yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah. No, I get into like rockabilly music and old country. Like outlaw country is what, like
David Allan Coe. You go by.
Yeah, a little David, a little bit of Coe. I was just listening to the Highwayman the other day, the Highwayman song.
Okay, yeah,
and that's a great tune, man. From my childhood.
Yeah,
I'm old.
Maya, you're not as old as I am. I grew up.
I'm a little bit younger than you.
Just a little bit. I grew up. I'm a child of the late 70s, 80s. So my big bands were like Kiss and Black Sabbath and that. But my parents
I love Black Sabbath, AC/DC.
Yeah, my parents indoctrinated me on like what was pop country back then. So Statler Brothers, Oak Ridge Boys, Barbara Mandrell.
Right, yeah.
There's a part of my brain that will not release those songs.
Like Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, and so like
when he was older, like when he was younger, he was in a rock band.
Yeah, exactly. But
he was a little bit more. He was a little bit more, little bit more hard rock when he was younger.
He did that song. What the hell?
When he got with old Dolly Parton, and they were Islands in the Stream, baby.
And so yeah, there's a part of my brain that cannot release those songs. And I could really use that part of my brain for other things, like remembering people's birthdays and anniversaries. But apparently, Statler Brothers comes on the radio, and I can tell you all about flowers on the wall and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, some of those songs come on, and I'll sing them, and Katie's like, "Well, how do you know that song?"
Yeah, it's like, exactly. Jenna does
Sometimes
the same
I
thing.
wonder how I know the song. Like, I don't know. Don't ask me why I know this song.
It's a past life, man. It's
right.
Yeah. It's the frequency.
That was the thing when I was a kid in the 80s. That was the music everybody listened to. It was on TV.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers.
Yep.
That was it, man.
It's all good, man. That's the beauty about music. There's plenty of it for everybody. And what one person doesn't like, somebody else loves. And they just wait 5 years and it'll come back around. So
yeah. Or I mean, the good thing nowadays is it never really goes away.
Right.
There's always somewhere online there's always a community for freaking everything, so it doesn't matter anymore if it's popular or not, because regardless of how popular things are, throughout culture or whatever, like pop culture, like there's always a community who's always supported that, but they didn't have the internet until now. So, until now people couldn't like have these online communities where they could always
Yeah, some of them didn't
keep
realize.
up with what was going on with stuff instead of it just coming and going with, you know, trends or whatever. So that's kind of cool.
And the fact that with the internet, I mean, you've got,
and there's literally a community for everything.
Yeah. And even if like before you thought,
no matter
I'm the
how
only person that's
weird
into
or
this.
foul,
Yeah.
or
Oh yeah.
you know,
If you dig deep enough, you'll find it.
right? Yep.
And if you don't, then yeah, there's something wrong with you.
You're not looking hard enough. That's all it is. You're not looking in the right places.
Yeah, apparently not.
But yeah, there's something out there for everybody.
Yeah. So once again, I'm Scott with Jenna and Scott Investigate. This is Katie Stafford from Supernatural Inc. He's the guy that builds all kinds of crazy gadgets that we love to use and play around with. Let's just say it's like pregnancy. Yeah.
It's like pregnancy.
But
it's in there.
Yeah. So yeah. So thanks for coming on, man. I know you busy and you got all your, you know, you got your lab back there that you've got all darkened, you know, so that we can't we can't see any of the secrets, you know. We don't want anybody like looking back there and going, oh man, he's using that kind of a soldering iron. That's what the secret is. And
you don't want to see the chaos that's going on and behind me. That's what you don't want to see.
Well, they say the smartest and most creative minds are usually the most chaotic. So, you know, just use that as your excuse.
It's scary. It's scary down here in my subterranean laboratory.
Your laboratory.
Yep.
you need an Igor. So yeah, man. So what have you been up to? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Just been working, man, churning out boxes, you know, like the NanoCom's really popular and the ink box. So that pretty much keeps me busy. And the helmet thing, I'm still working on that. And so I got a new helmet that's coming out.
I was going to ask you, are you actually making those production to sell, or are you just kind of doing them?
No, not like production to sell, like us, you know, because I'm not really like that anyway. I'm not like a Go Stop type place anyway. I'm not like an equipment supply company. I mean, I make custom stuff, you know. It's all custom, regardless of it's a NanoCom, not just a NanoCom. I mean, they're all, each and every one I put together by hand, you know, so they're all different in their own little respect. And,
I'm sure there's plenty of sweat and blood and curse words in each one that are just a little bit different.
Yeah. So I don't want to be like a production level, because if it gets to that point, then it's not going to be, that's not what I'm here for. So I'm here for, you know, to research with different types of ideas for different equipment combinations, different types of equipment to use, different ways to use equipment. I mean, and nothing is out of bounds really, because, you know, I go by the philosophy of this, you can't say this doesn't work. When you're dealing with something like the paranormal, you can't say this doesn't work, but this does, but this is okay, but this isn't. So, you know, going by that philosophy, you know, I'm willing to give anything a try. But there are some things that obviously I've got stuck on, because, you know, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for me hanging out on ghost boxes for so. One day I might move on. I might not build any more ghost boxes.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a reason. There's always a reason why I get hung up on one thing, and I make any of them to sell. So
the whole ghost box thing, you said, because that's kind of where your niche is right now. Did you get kind of interested in that more because of your background in electronics, or was it something else going on? And you know, what kind of, to your point, what made you decide to kind of hang out in that spot and kind of come up?
I don't know, because I'm not done with it. I don't.
Because you make some great ones. I mean, we've got the ink box, and Jenna loves that.
It's a good question. No, it's a good question. It's hard to say why. It's not really because of my background, because you can have a background in electronics if you've never like messed with radios before. Radios are a little bit, you know, it's a little bit different. It's a different application of electronics. So all your electrical symbols and stuff are a little bit different, and they might not mean the same thing, or you know, things are going together for a weird reason, and you're using ICs, and it's just a lot of different stuff. Analog electronics is a completely different animal than you know, other things, the digital stuff, like, you know, with the microcontroller. So I had to learn that to learn how to build like an actual Frank's box style ghost box
So
instead of just a digital sweeper, right? So so learning analog electronics was probably the most difficult part. But anyway, yeah, that's not something I think I've probably got it down to a production process is about as close as I want, as I feel comfortable with anyway, you know?
yeah.
So, I do have like all the boards are identical now. Like for my different radios, I order, like, I custom made circuit boards and I pre-order them. So I get like a whole bunch of them. So they're all the same now. So that is all the same.
Okay.
So now there's, because they're every time before when I was doing it all by hand, each circuit would be different, and I wanted to keep it as uniform as possible with like the NanoCom.
Hmm.
But I like to keep it fluid also, so I can change the outside of the box. Or like with you guys' box. Did you see the box? Did Katie send you a picture of the box I sent you guys?
She did not. She sent me the tracking number and said it was something.
Okay.
It said it was something new.
Well, it's not really something new. It's just a little additional thing on you guys' box. So most nanocoms they
Does
just
it have a
sweep.
beard on it? Does it look
Huh?
like ZZ Top? Does it have a beard on it?
No, it's not
Damn
it's
it.
not the look that's in there. It's it looks the same except this one's got a knob on the side, and the knob on the side adjusts the range of random sweep speed that you can hit.
Okay.
So normally you're sweeping between this lowest speed and the highest speed, right? And it's sweeping randomly in between.
Okay, from this.
So
Gotcha.
from each time it switches to a new channel, it switches there at a different speed, and it jumps. It could be any speed within the bottom and the top.
Right. So you're
So when you turn
the bottom and the top then?
right when you turn the
Okay.
knob, it takes and it just narrows that band of speed that you're randomly sweeping between. It actually takes it towards the top.
So that's more
Towards the
kind of in line
fastest.
with how the ink
Or
box
towards
works
the
then, right?
fastest, yeah.
That's more like how the ink box works.
No, because the
No?
ink box
Okay.
is still linear. Yeah, the ink box
Okay.
is still linear. Yeah, this one's still random. It's
Okay.
It's
I was
completely
just thinking
random.
about how you've got on the ink box, what's it's like the traditional
Oh,
radio.
now you're talking
You can
about
narrow
the band. Yes, that's
yes.
the bandwidth.
Okay.
Yeah, if you turn the tuning knob, you can
Right.
narrow the bandwidth. Yeah, that's a little bit more advanced.
Okay.
Not everybody knows that. Well, no, it's not. No, I want people who have them to know
Yeah.
it, because it's a good feature to use on it, but it's hard to explain, especially if somebody doesn't have an ink box yet. So if you have an ink box and you've used it for a while and you figured out the reverb, if you have one with reverb and you figured out how to change the the sweep speed and all that stuff, then yeah, that's a cool addition, is to be able to narrow the bandwidth, but most people don't really get that far with their research, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if a lot of people just sit and use it for hours on end. They might, but that's something that most people would get into later on, I think, is the more finer tuning and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's cool, and it's there whenever you're ready for it. If you get an ink box, if you do get an ink box, and if you want to know about that kind of stuff and you have one, just contact me. But actually that's an unintended thing. I didn't intend that to be that way. That was just
so in the IT world we call those features.
right. Yes. Yes, it is a feature, but it was unintended. It was like I didn't realize it would do that, right?
Yeah.
So but it's cool that it does.
Yeah.
So I couldn't figure out what it was doing at first. I just I guess I assumed it would just automatically sweep all the way up from through the bandwidth. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. I know we dig that. And like I said, we use ours pretty much every time I go out. That's quickly became one of Jenna's favorite things.
Awesome, man.
So yeah, she uses that a lot, and I don't have as great of results with it as she does, but
Yeah.
that's me in general.
Right.
So it's not anything with your gear. It's just like
Well, I
you
don't.
give her something and it'll sing.
Well,
Me, it's
sometimes.
more you got to work for it.
Well, sometimes just it's got to be the right situation, or it's hard to say what the reason is for that. A lot of times, sometimes it seems like some people, their equipment kind of binds to them or something. You know, it's weird. I know it might sound weird, but
Not to
especially
me,
like
man.
ovuluses and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It seems like people are better with them, or they work better, and if it's in somebody else's hand, like in a specific, somebody who, I don't know, I don't want to say they're tuned to be able to communicate through something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, maybe, yeah, it could all just come down to energy, right? We all potentially, maybe
come
somebody's
down
got
to your
stronger.
tuning, man. Your tuning.
Yeah.
What key you're tuned at or
Yeah,
whatever.
it could be like a frequency type thing. It could be a
Right.
power rating. I mean, it could be all kinds of different things when you start
Your
kind of
brain waves, man.
when you start putting this more and treating it as energy, and take out some of the more religious kind of connotations and things like that, and kind of treat it more from the energy side. It at least makes more sense to me.
Look, I don't claim to know how all of this stuff works. All right.
Yeah, none of us should.
I don't claim to know.
Yeah. I mean, we
Like
got some
doing weird
ideas.
stuff and seeing if I get any anomalies and seeing if they line up with anything. That's kind of what I do. That's just generally
That's
the idea.
yeah. I mean, that's the way it should be. I think anybody that gets into here and basically is like, every time I get an EVP or something, it's got this, and this. It's like, that's, it really, I think a lot more often than not, you're going to have probably less things that are like evidence than you would if you're normally. Because I mean, if I see somebody that's constantly going out there and everything they've got is an EVP, oh look, I was here and I got these 47 EVPs, and it's like,
hey, okay, well, you know what? Maybe that's what they do.
right.
Maybe
And and going back to my original thought, it could be that they've got that kind of energy or whatever, that they're a magnet for that stuff.
Yeah. Or I like to look at it like this. If people wanted to, they could approach it from this perspective, right? Like, you could look at paranormal research as like a broad general field, and then within that broad general field, there could be like focuses within that broad general field that people can do if they want, and then they don't have to necessarily know and use all methods or whatever within the paranormal spectrum. They don't have to. They can focus on whatever they like doing, like you said, or whatever their kind of energy flows with, or whatever their feng shui flows with, man.
No, I mean, it's
like yes, whatever you get into, whatever interests you the most. It's just like even like, oh man, what astronomy. There's like all kinds of sub fields that you can go into within that one field of science. So, I think it's the same way kind of with paranormal research. Some people are just into audio stuff. That's kind of the way I am. I'm really into audio. I mean, I do mess with some video stuff, but it's mostly audio. It's mostly like ghost box, and it's ITC focused mainly, not always, but mostly. And I do dip into the environmental reading, the data reading stuff. But when I do, it's usually to apply those sensor readings to like some sort of ITC device to trigger things.
That potentially gives you even more data to kind of, if you're trying to say, oh, something occurred, whether it's I hear a voice or something like that. And potentially, if you have environmental readings that also changed, you've got just more data to show something happened. Something was going on. It's just not just because, again, as the scientific stuff is, you get it one time, it's probably a fluke.
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to explain this, but it's like, for me, it doesn't do any good for me to see the numbers go up and down.
Right.
It doesn't do any good for me to see light come on and off. But my question is what if why is it doing that? That can't be, that's not how they're communicating. They're not like, it's not that simple. It's not like that's not the reason why the EMF detector is fluctuating. That's not what they're doing. They're not making the lights come on and off. Whatever they're doing, I think, is making the lights is making the EMF levels fluctuate. Whether
Right.
it's the way
So
they
the EMF readings are a
communicate
byproduct.
is like a byproduct.
Yes.
Yeah, right. The
Yeah.
EMF readings, the fluctuations can be a byproduct of their the way they communicate. Like
So
the
it's less about, hey, can you touch these
waveforms.
can you touch these pretty lights, and they're actually
Yeah,
manifesting such, and
they
it's
could be like,
more.
I'm not touching lights,
How
blah,
many
blah,
times
blah,
have I
blah.
heard this shit?
Right, yeah. How many times do I have to tell you I'm trying to talk to you?
I'm a ghost that's
Yeah,
colorblind,
and
damn it. I can't
it's
tell red from green.
again, it's pure speculation. I'm not claiming that I know this. I'm just saying that is a logical approach. That it's not. That's a logical way to approach something that's supposedly illogical. I think.
Yeah. Well,
And
and again,
there's no real.
right. It's like, no matter what kind of evidence you get, there's always there's always going to be somebody that's going to dispute it. And I guess that's a lot of science in general. But I mean, it's even like, I could have these EVPs that sound crystal clear, and it's like, wow, yeah, that definitely sounds like this. And I could say, hey, we had this Faraday cage, there wasn't any radio, shit like that, and it still did this. But there's always going to be some possible explanation that's not supernatural for it, potentially, from somebody. And it's
Right.
because there's no real, what am I trying to say? There's no, in science, there's certain methods and things like that to kind of prove things. There's none of that's been proven. It's all speculation. It's really all totally up in the air.
Right.
It's like, you might hear it and go, damn, you're right, man. That's crystal clear. It sounds like this. And then the next person comes along and goes, no, that doesn't sound like that at all.
Oh yeah, I hear this or I hear that. Me and Katie do that all the time.
Yeah,
we do that all the time. It really sucks when you edit a video and you put it out, you post it, and then after you post the video and you watch it on YouTube, you listen to it, and it sounds like something else.
Yeah.
Other than what you posted that you thought you heard before.
Especially if I'm doing a Facebook Live or something, I'll hear something. And sometimes I'll say what it is, or I'll just keep quiet, and then people will chime in with stuff. And it's like, sometimes they're hearing what I'm hearing, and sometimes they're not. And I'm like, huh. Well,
it can also be to do with where you're sitting in the room.
Yeah.
When it comes to like doing a session with multiple people around, like if you're sitting behind the box on the other side of the room,
yep.
the room size, the shape of the room, there's lots of things.
Yeah. Yep. Different frequencies.
Hey, like David.
That. What's up, David? Yeah,
I can't see, so I have to lean in real close to.
See, that's why,
because I'm old.
Gotta wear specs. Just embrace.
I know. I can't find them, man. I can't.
You need to have like a monocle or something to do the whole mad scientist thing with, And
I have my Ray-Bans, man. My Transit, and I love those glasses. Those were the best.
Do you have the kind that break apart and come back together, or flip down? You look like some corn.
No, they're just standard. No, they're just standard old nerdy black rim Ray-Ban glasses, and they're my favorite glasses. And they were the transition lenses, and I can't find them anywhere. They're gone. It's driving me nuts. So I'm blind.
Yeah, Austin summed it up. Different messages for different people. Kind of
What's up, Austin?
What we were talking about earlier, because there's so many. There's so many. Yeah, because it's like, again, my hearing and perception of things is probably different than yours.
That's exactly right. That's also got a lot to do with your perception as So if you hear it, but that's not the way I heard it. That doesn't mean that doesn't change what you heard.
And I think one of the things Austin and I had talked about before was there's even the possibility that while these things might be impacting or changing the actual ghost box frequencies, they could also be changing or interacting directly in our own heads and brains and stuff. So we might be picking up stuff that's not even there. Like, other people might be like, I didn't hear anything. And you're over here going, yeah, this thing's talking to you. Or, it could be a brain tumor. You just never know.
could be having a mini stroke.
Yeah, you could be having a mini stroke. You could have been done a little bit too much of something beforehand. You just never know what's going on.
Smoking a little bit of the ganja.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why the indigenous tribes, man, they got their minds right?
Hey, Joe Rogan's real big on DMT these days. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
that seems kind of scary, even though it doesn't last long, but it's supposed to be like a super enlightening thing. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do it. I'm a little worried about that one.
Well, I know, kind of jumping around, we were talking about do you call your helmet the God helmet, or do you call it a ghost helmet, or do you even have like a real name for it?
It's ghost helmet. I call it a ghost helmet just because it's kind of a paying homage to the God helmet, but without calling it the God helmet. And it's not the God helmet. It's different. It's works. I don't know. I've never actually held a God helmet or the God helmet in my hands, so I don't actually know how there's like the working mechanism behind it. I just knew what it did and how it did it. I didn't know like the details behind the specs to the tech that they used on it, like exactly what computer were they using, what program, what software.
Yeah.
Like I just knew electromagnets and that I needed to do these things.
Jenna got a chance to use that when we were at South Pittsburgh Hospital, and she's kind of got a busy mind anyways.
Right.
She said that was one of the few times that everything just kind of got quiet. And it was like after she did that session, I think she might have done it for 30 minutes. She was
some people say that. Some people
she loved it. She was like, man, if Katie could bottle this up.
I think it was there's been several other people that said that also, but there was oh gosh, can't remember who it was. It was another girl that said that. Another lady said that she had she was sensitive or whatever, psychic.
Yeah.
She had some sort of medium like ability, and that when she wore the helmet, everything just kind of quietened down for her.
Yeah, it was like you didn't have the outside stimuli, whether psychics and that they hear voices or they see things, whatever the case would be. It was like that all just kind of drifted away and kind of built a buffer for them.
Right. So. Yeah. No, I've been doing some stuff with the helmet, man. It's going to be in another show.
That'd be cool.
So I'm not going to say.
I know.
What show, but I will say that it's going to be in another show.
That's cool.
And it's going to be cool.
Well, then, of course, man.
It's going to be super cool.
So where did you
it's going to be cooler than it was even last time.
Yeah? Well, then that's good. That's good that, Austin was saying it was Jack that said that. Yeah. Jack Niece. She's a psychic medium, too.
Oh, yeah, Jack. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't even. I have my glasses on. I can't read it from here. It sucks.
No, that's cool. Yeah, because Jenna was kind of the same way. She was like, man, put her down there in the one level and just let her sit down there. And it was like when she was done, she's like, wow, this is like, because she had a neck injury a few years ago and had some of her vertebrae fused. So she has like nerve damage. So her like ears are ring and stuff, almost like tendonitis, but it's not caused from that. It's from nerve damage and shit. So for her to be like, things are totally quiet and relaxing, that was pretty impressive. So maybe there's some medicinal purposes that you can market.
Well, I mean, that's what I've been saying is that there's actually I don't know, like I don't claim to be a neuroscientist or anything, and I don't even have proper equipment to really measure the results like specifically of what's changing, right? When you're wearing the helmet. But so all I'll have to go off of is personal experiences. Like I can tell you what the levels are that are being produced inside of the helmet.
What's Jenna saying something? Oh, she meant box. She said no.
Oh, helmet.
She wants a helmet.
All right, well, talk to me after this.
Can you make it look like a derby hat? Like the ladies wear at the Kentucky Derby or something.
Like it all a hat, like an Easter hat,
or some kind of Victorian bonnet or something. Give it some flair.
Yeah. Well, the new ones got plenty of flair. I got them over there. They're over across on the other side of the shop right now. But yeah, they're cool. So you'll see them soon. And so what I do is I don't like sell the helmets like as a production thing, but I do take orders for them. And so yeah, right now I've got 3 or 4 people right now that I'm building helmets for right now. So yeah, I do still sell them, but I don't sell the helmet, right? You buy that, you don't buy the helmet, you buy into the group project, right? And the money that you give me just pays for your helmet to get built.
Okay.
You're not like buying it. You're just paying for the materials for it, right? And I'm just kind of putting it all together, and then and everybody's kind of crowdfunding the
Okay, so like a quick Kickstarter
experiment.
type of thing, yeah.
Right, yeah. You just kind of buying into the thing, and then you get into and I hadn't really put a whole lot into. Well, I put a lot of stuff into the group a while back, but I do it kind of sporadically. So there's a Facebook group that everybody who owns the helmet, I put them in, and every so often I'll update it, and you can go on there, and if you own a helmet, you'll be on there, and so you can post all your experiences with the helmet, and you don't have to worry about the whole world seeing it if you don't want or whatever. And it's not a whole bunch of people on there. It's just a handful of people, just maybe a couple dozen people. So
yeah, I'll have Jenna reach out to you because I'm sure she's that's probably the next thing she wants.
Okay, yeah, we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new model's cool, man. It took me a long time to 3D print, to design it, not to, it takes a long time to 3D print too. But yeah, the reason why it takes so long to design these things is because when you go to print them out, when you print out a rough draft, so to speak, right? It still takes 3 days.
Oh, wow.
So it takes 3 days to print something that you don't even know.
Is it because of are 3D printers that slow? I mean,
no. It's just like when you're designing something.
Parts?
Well, I mean, if you design anything at all, like if you're just let's say you're designing a faceplate control panel, right? That's out of something that's existing already. So you have to measure where all the knobs and stuff are, right? Let's say it's an amp or something like that, right? Like you're a music guy, right? So it's an amp. You just want to take the guts out of the amp, you want to stick it in this. So you have to measure everything, and then it's got to match up.
Do you do any kind of prototypes out of like I don't know, like build like cardboard or anything with the dimensions first before you just jump right in? And
no, I just jump in, man. I just jump in and I start.
Like, shit, this rolls off by a half inch. Damn it! You gotta start.
Well, I'll print some small ones, and just make sure that that's what I want. But yeah, but then when I get it about where I want it, I just start printing out the full size.
Okay.
And I mean, if it prints out, then odds are if it doesn't work out, I can kind of conform it to work for something else in the future or whatever. But I went through probably a dozen of those before I got to where I was happy with what I had. So, and it's still probably going to change every time I make a new one. So it'll improve more and more.
The V2, the V3, the Mark 7, you can just.
Well, the cool thing is about these new helmets is they're modular. So the coil pieces that go on the sides, they attach and detach. So you can take them off. You can disconnect them from the board. You can take them off, and you can put new ones on. That's what I'm shooting for.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and it's like it looks kind of like a frame, but then there's like modular pieces on it, and so there's room for additional things if you want to add things to it later on down the road, or if we decide to add more coils to it or whatever, there'll always be kind of a place to bolt onto it, and that's what I'm going for.
I like David's comment. I'm not a psychic or anything, but I want one shaped like a baseball cap that says AC/DC.
Yeah, man.
Classic, man.
Dude, I was jamming on AC/DC.
I thought he was going to say a schoolboy cap. Be like Angus.
Right, that's what I thought he was going to say too. Right.
Either one works. Either one will work.
Yeah, dude. I was jamming on AC/DC the other day. I listened to it all day long. I just put it on my have YouTube music, So I just put it on AC/DC, and I just went to their songs, and I just let it rip, play all. And she was like, my daughter was hanging out down here in the lab with me, and she was like, Dad, do we have to listen to AC/DC anymore? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love AC/DC, but this is a bit excessive at this point. I'm like, it's not excessive, man. You haven't seen excessive.
Yeah, we haven't gotten through the whole catalog yet. It's not excessive.
Right. I'm about to show you excessive.
Now we're gonna do the live stuff.
Right. Oh yeah, and I was too.
The bootlegs.
That's when she had got. That's when she got to that point. Yeah. She likes ACDC too.
Yeah. So
She's
are
still
you?
a TikTok generation though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She's that generation where she hears the covers of songs and think that's the originals. Stuff
Right.
like
Yeah.
that. Just
Yeah. I've taught
so.
her pretty well though, man. She's pretty good. I can't complain too much. So.
So going back to ACDC, are you a Bon Scott guy or a Brian Johnson guy?
I
This will
like
tell me a lot
both.
about your personality.
No, I like both, man, because I'm not like I didn't grow up with it.
Okay.
It was introduced to me kind of later on. So I mean, I was probably like 10 or so before I really started getting into rock.
Yeah.
And so it was like Guns N' Roses and AC/DC, and at that point, it didn't matter to me either way. It was, and that was what 1990, 91, somewhere around 90, 91. That was about when I started getting into.
So yeah, Brian Johnson was already pretty much
Right.
ingrained at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah. So
Bon had already been
right. So
long
when
gone.
I came on board, it was yeah, and so I didn't really develop an opinion of either one where I liked them more. It was broad. It was yeah. So I like all of it.
You didn't get caught up in the whole when Roth
No.
left Van Halen and Sammy Hagar
Nope.
took his place, and then
Yeah, that wasn't.
Van Halen and Van Hagar and stuff. Yeah,
That's not even like. I mean, I got into
that was
that kind of
stupid.
rock, but I didn't really get into that kind of rock. I got more into the metal, like as I got. It was like Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and stuff was kind of like a stepping stone. I just went into metal, and then it was Korn and Slipknot and all that stuff after that. Right, but I mean, I do have a very I have an extended musical library in my brain, so I do know a lot of old rock and stuff. So like Led Zeppelin, I love Led Zeppelin. Black Sabbath, I like Dio.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, Zeppelin. I as a musician, I appreciate the hell out of them, but I definitely my influences were more the Beatles and Black Sabbath on that side. It seems like
I like Black Sabbath,
but I was never a huge Aerosmith person.
Me either, man. No, me either. I don't dig Aerosmith.
I mean, again, I know they got hits and
it's kind of pop rock. It's pop rock though. It's kind of pop. It's like, like Van Halen. Even they skirted on that a lot, man. That pop level stuff.
Well, I grew up when Roth had just left Van Halen when I kind of came into him. And then
some of my favorite stuff was Roth. Though.
Yeah, well, Roth, and I know we're sidetracked, but now we're here, so and it's my show, and we'll do what I say.
Hey,
but
I don't care, man. We'll talk about whatever you want to.
But Roth was a better entertainer. Sammy was a better musician, singer. Yeah, they both equally had great stuff. I saw David Lee Roth's solo tour the year they split up, and he played with Steve Vai and Billy Sheehan and those guys.
I will say this: I do like Van Hagar.
Yeah.
But the majority, but out of all the songs that I like of Van Halen, I have to say the majority of them are sang by, David Lee Roth.
Yeah, seen him live. Roth blew. I saw.
Really, I would think it would be the other way around. I would think Roth would be good.
I think Roth came out. I'd have to go back and look at the dates, but it was like within 6 months of each other. I saw both bands.
So you're looking at it from a completely different.
Yeah, I'm looking at it from a musician's perspective. I mean,
you actually went to a concert, and you invested personal time in this, So if I go to a concert and a band sucks, or or whatever, then obviously I don't appreciate that, and I won't like that band anymore after that. So. Yeah, I went to a Rob Zombie concert, and back in the day, man, it's like Family Values tour time, and it was Rob Zombie and Korn, and Rob Zombie was okay, but I didn't go back to another concert. It was just like a show.
Yeah,
it was like his little creep show thing. He's got the giant robot and all that stuff,
and here we are now where we can't even go to concerts. I was trying to think in the last. I've gone to a couple like local shows, some buddies of mine's bands. They still do some small events, but nothing like what it is. It's like, maybe 50 people sitting down, spread out. But as far as like real full on ticket concerts, I think the last one I saw was maybe when the Foo Fighters came to Cincinnati, which would be like 2 years from now. I just got a memory that 2 years ago I saw Metallica on January 31st in Cincinnati. That was a great one.
Oh, cool.
I've seen them, Lordy. I've seen them every time they've come to the city, pretty much. But yeah, that's me, man.
That's cool, man.
But that's not.
Yeah, I
what
like Metallica. Metallica's good. I mean,
I actually
I
saw
heard.
Metallica
Well, they
first.
said that their new album was their best album ever. I don't know about that. I'll have to listen to it.
What else are they gonna say? Man, this album sucks ass.
Well, I know, but that's
This
stretching
is
it a bit.
anger.
But you have to admit that's setting it up kind of big, though, man. I mean, because I mean, we got some pretty good. We got we got some good stuff from back in the day. Now I don't know if you can beat some of this stuff.
Define best. Better? What does that mean? It's going to sell
Their old
more.
stuff.
It's going to have more hits. I mean, what's going on?
Well, like the whole album's good.
Yeah.
No, I mean where the whole album is good, where you can listen to the whole album from beginning to the end, and you don't have to skip a song, and the whole album's good. That's when you know. That's when it's like, because that's what a good Metallica album is to me. That's what I don't know. That's what a good
album in general.
Yeah, it is. All right, you can listen to it from beginning to the end.
We live in that generation now, and I think now that music is digital, and it's a lot easier to just It used to be the concept of buying albums. It was like you had artwork, and it was like this whole package.
Right.
Presentation. I'm not even talking about LPs. I mean, I grew up with cassettes and CDs and shit like that. But
yeah.
You still had that physical experience. The songs were put in a certain order, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It was like format.
Now people don't. I don't know how many people actually even buy albums or just buy songs, and hell, most of them just subscribe. That's
dude. I just have I have YouTube Music.
And as much of a music snob as I am, I'm the same way, because at the end of the day, it's like I'll buy like records and albums of stuff that's like I'm really, really into. Kind of what you said, the albums that I could listen to all the way through. Right. For the most part, I'm skipping and jumping around because it's just that's the time I can give to it. And
well, I mean, I can't like carry that stuff around on me all the time, and it's it's nice to have access to it no matter where I'm at or what I'm doing. I can listen to it on my computer, or I don't have to have a physical media to do it with, and I don't have to download it. So it's good for me. And it works for me, but I still believe in listening to. I still believe in a good album, right? Yeah. But I don't always. If it's a music, well, I'll generally give anybody the benefit of the doubt. If I like a song off of their album, I'll give the album a try.
Yeah.
Right. But if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. And I only like this song or these 2 songs or 3 songs from the album, and that's what I listen to. But it's good to have the options to. But at the end of the day, you don't own any of it. That's the only thing that sucks, man. It's like
it's like you have access to everything.
Movies.
You don't own any
You don't own any
of it.
of it. Yeah. You can pay $16.99 on Amazon for digital copy of whatever you want, and at the end of the day, Amazon can go out of business, and you're screwed. You don't have that.
I guess at what point though is your return on investment? Because you could have a room full of videotapes. And you may watch them once or twice, or you can pay this much every month and just watch any conceivable thing you ever want at any time. Yeah, and that's what they get you on, right? It's like, oh well, I could pay $20 or $10, whatever it is, and I can pretty much watch anything I want whenever. So I don't really care that I don't own it because it's always there. It's just I can reach and get it. But it's like, but you don't own it, and if they ever decide to raise their prices, which they do. Or go away or whatever, then it's like, well, you don't have anything.
And I mean, luckily we haven't had any of the big ones fail yet, but luckily I say that loosely.
Yeah. But I mean, and anymore, anymore, I mean, the society we live in, it's like everything's streaming and online, and that you see that even more, this year with COVID and everything, and people, they're just.
Well, there's ways for people to. I feel like there's probably a market for everybody out there. Like a niche that everybody can who has any sort of ambition to be any sort of entertainment or whatever. The market's plenty big enough for that.
Yeah,
and it's moving to the internet now. It's not just mainstream media, TV, and hopefully they don't choke the internet off and make it somewhere where you can't go and say what you want and have whatever website you want or whatever, but it's starting to look that way, but
it is. Yeah. I mean,
I hope it don't go in that direction. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just here. I'm just doing my thing.
That's what I say, life goes on, it goes on, but but there's other, that's what I'm saying. Things evolve.
Yeah.
Things will evolve, and so some people that may not have had a chance otherwise, because it used to be the only way you have a music career is to get noticed
or to tour and
and just hope that you get noticed, hope that somebody bites, right? Hope that you get that gig, that whatever, right? So nowadays you do have the internet platform, so there's more opportunity, I think, for even musicians to make money their own way if they want. There's plenty of ways that they can sell their music.
No. Oh yeah. I mean, it's like for every, I've got some buddies that are in a band in Cincinnati. They're called War Curse. They're a metal band. They just got signed to Metal Blade Records, which Metal Blade is who discovered Metallica back in the day. So from a pedigree perspective, Metal Blade, if you get signed to them, and it's just interesting that in the year of COVID, they were still able to pull that off and do it. They got endorsed by
it probably helped.
I mean, don't get me wrong; those guys kick ass, and
but there's a lot of people that kick ass.
Yeah,
that's the problem. It's like art. It's like artwork and stuff. It's like,
I mean, these
there's
guys,
a lot of people that draw.
If anybody deserves it, they've put in the time, the blood, sweat, and tears, kind of thing.
But yeah,
lightly. But yeah, it's like
maybe the producer or whoever signed them, right? Who maybe they were stuck in the house.
Yeah, I mean,
they're sitting there watching YouTube videos. Yeah. They got anything on YouTube? They might have been sitting there like clicking on Facebook links or whatever, and got linked to them or something. Who knows, right? So I don't know. There's things change. It doesn't have to go in the wrong direction.
So let's bring it back to the whole paranormal thing and all that, since we went off topic. My bad, but I do that a lot.
You're fine. Me too.
Yeah, that's why I figured you'd appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
because it's always the usual kind of stuff. But where'd you ever get the nickname Mad Scientist? I don't know if I ever heard that. Like,
my buddy Greg Myers, he came up with that because I used to use I still do. I use high voltage stuff, and he saw the helmet and he just like the original helmet back in the day, the fuse back, and my battery's getting low, and he just thought it was he thought it was mad science, so he just called me the paranormal mad scientist, and he was joking, and it just kind of stuck, and he was like automatically he was like, you got to buy the domain name, and he's kind of my mentor.
You gotta get some Tesla coils in the background and all that.
So he's the one that kind of pushed me to do all this stuff. So yeah, that was Greg Myers. He runs PTF.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're honorary members of PTF or whatever, and that's Paranormal Task Force. So if you're out in the Missouri area, then that's who you want to go to see about doing events and stuff, especially St. Louis area. So whenever, everybody gets back to doing that, I think people are doing it still. People are still doing the paranormal events.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're definitely smaller audiences.
Venues.
Most of them are like maybe 10 to 20 people type stuff.
Yeah, which is fine with me because I've always preferred that anyway. Yeah. It's more intimate. You get to talk to everybody. So, we don't have a whole lot lined up this year, but that's probably a good thing because I'm probably going to be busy this year. So I don't know. We'll see. But I got a couple things coming out. So
anything that you can actually talk about?
Well, as far as like TV stuff, yeah, there's I just saw the other day where they said that Fright Club was coming out. I'll be in a couple episodes of that.
Okay, cool.
So I'll like physically be there, but it was like video.
Yeah.
Because it was Corona thing.
Yeah.
But I was so they so basically I'm just I'll be there on video providing a little bit of commentary for some paranormal videos that were sent in.
You'll be like this caught on paranormal camera, and it'll be Katie Stafford, and this is What I think of this video is this and this and this, and yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yep. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Now, do you have to, when they record that, do you get to record that like at your house, or do they?
I did that. It was over a Zoom call because they sent me the videos to analyze, right? And so then I analyzed the video and I sent it, or so I wrote down, took notes and stuff about what I thought, and then I talked to them on Zoom, and so they were all on the couch and stuff, and yep, that's pretty much how it goes. So it's fun. It's I think 2 episodes I'll be in, so that was cool. And there's another episode. There's another show coming out. I don't know if I should say. Maybe I've already said. I don't know. If anybody's out there that knows me, have already said the other show that I'm going to be on. If I haven't, then I won't say it. No. Yeah, I don't think I'm supposed to say. I don't remember though. I forgot.
Well, it's not like we have a 11 million audience here,
No, I know that, but
I guess it only takes one, right?
Right.
It takes one to go.
Well,
he's over there saying that he's just
right. He's over there just letting the cat out of the damn bag,
giving away our intellectual property, and what the hell?
Right.
Oh, we got some technical. It's firing it back up. Please stand by. Don't hear you. Nope. Gonna have to switch over to the God helmet. I can't hear you. I'll let you know when I do. You don't have the mute on, do you? Yep. So this folks is we're gonna watch Katie firsthand do some technical work. This is a test. Nope, nothing yet. How long does it take the mad scientist to get his headset going? We need a timer. I'm going to put a timer down here. We're going to make this a contest. Nope. I'm clicking buttons. Why is it not working? It just worked a minute ago. Otherwise, I'm going to start making Katie's voice when he mouths words. I'm going to just start saying what I think he's saying. We're going to play lip reading, drunk lip reading. 2020. That probably will fix it, honestly. Uh-oh. We're at 2 minutes. He's like, the damn settings. Hello, my name is KD Stafford. I'm just an animated GIF. So all it takes is that one disconnection of Bluetooth, and you'll never get it back now. So how's everybody doing out there? This is fun. I should go quiet too, and we'll just look at each other and see if people figure it out.
Hey,
oh, I hear it. There you are.
Okay, so
where we at, folks?
A microphone.
Who had 5 minutes? Who had 5 minutes on the countdown?
You know what I think it is? I think it's because I plugged it up to the charger.
Oh, it's so yeah. So it can't broadcast and charge at the same time, kind of deal.
Yeah, so it's confusing. I can hear, but I can't. It won't do the microphone. So, because I think I can actually hook it up to my computer, but I don't have an open USB. So, but anyway, that's not your problem, is it?
You're the one.
Not anymore, anyway.
So, folks, the next thing's going to be he's going to create a headset that can do all those things, so if he doesn't have this problem, some of the way you fix things, you have to have the issue to begin with.
2021, man, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like what the hell, man? This shows how much you use those headsets, right? That
I don't use it very often.
really?
No.
Technology.
It's always something new. It's always something new. Like usually, I'll come on. I'm surprised it even worked at all. Like I'm surprised it worked from the beginning. Like as soon as I got on, usually it doesn't work, and I have to go in and I have to change my settings to get it to work.
You know, you're right. I think I have watched a couple of your stuff where we kind of play the little game there. So
pain in my ass, man.
I think you're faking it. I think you were just moments to be like, you know.
It's stressful, man. Trust me, it's stressful. I hate it. I hate having audio problems. Okay.
Well, what I hate is it's like you can go through all this and you can test it ahead of time. Everything works brilliantly. It's flawless. And then you do something live and you hit the live button and suddenly shit that's worked 100 times suddenly doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
We were doing, a buddy of mine does this show. It's like he does live music and he'll come to your house. He has this puppet. It's called the Super Satan Show. Now, he has this puppet that looks like a little devil and he goes around and he interviews people like he's like a Kermit the Frog character. You'd have to watch it. Actually, it's pretty funny.
Oh, I'm sure. I love
you got that look like did I just come into another show? But
hey, no, the Muppet Show was like my favorite.
He'll interview bands, and usually he'll do like metal bands and stuff like that. So he was like, "Hey, you guys want to come on the show?" And we're like, "Sure, man." So he literally came over at my house. You know, we're sitting in the kitchen. It's weird, you know. After 5 minutes, you don't realize you're talking to a piece of felt with a guy's hand up its ass. You know what I mean? It's just totally natural. Yeah. And, I don't know what that says about me, but anyways. So yeah, you're
very accepting of others.
We're doing
puppets.
We're playing music, and we get to one song, and I've got, you know, I do them. I have the studio and stuff. So the whole studio crashes. Now we've gone through these songs like 3 or 4 times, multiple times beforehand. Get to this one song, crashes. Like, so got to reboot everything, play the song, crashes at the exact same point again. And it was just weird. It was like, okay, I guess it doesn't. I literally had to reboot. I didn't reboot my entire laptop first. I rebooted the audio interface. And once I did that, it was fine. But we were like, okay, apparently something doesn't like that song. Let's just move on. Right, but it was weird. It was literally at the exact same point in the song.
Might have been trying to process too much.
Yeah, some kind of buffering or something. I guess it was too powerful.
Caused it to crash. Yeah, there was something like that. There was some picture that was circulating on the internet recently, and it was just a picture of a boat out in the water, right, in a sunset. And I think maybe some mountains or something behind it. But this picture would, if you looked at it on your phone, it would cause your phone to freaking crash.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was and because it was going around being shared as a background. It was the background size,
almost like subliminal messaging kind of shit.
Well, nobody could figure out what was going on with it, and somebody finally figured it out. There was one pixel in this picture that was they had like whenever they created this file, they created it using a color profile, like it was a different Adobe color profile, right? And so like iPhone doesn't use that color profile, so it couldn't process that one pixel. So when it tried to process that one pixel, it would cause the whole phone to crash.
That's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
But that makes you wonder, like, what kind of other shit that they can kind of put in the pictures and you know, like subliminal messaging or okay, so that can crash your phone. Is it possible that they could send viruses that way and shit like that and program things?
No, yeah, it is. I mean?
That stands to reason. There's that too.
Yeah, they can definitely do that.
Yeah, because
I mean, you can't believe any of the pictures you see on the internet anymore, because I mean, Photoshop's gotten so good. I mean, there's ways to like test it other than just eyeball it and say, oh, that looks real to me, because I guarantee you, there's some videos and some pictures. You cannot tell the difference.
Well, especially those apps you see on people are posting on Facebook where they're taking it puts their faces over top of real actors. Some of that shit's pretty.
Oh yeah, a lot of deep fake
face
stuff,
or whatever it is, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, well, there's technology. It's called deep fake.
Deep fake, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff.
But, I mean, they had some where I've seen early on where they took like they had the real stuff, and then they had like, you know, this politician giving a speech or something, and they did the other one. And it's like, to your point, if you didn't know what you were looking at, you'd swear it was real.
Right.
So
yeah, no, it's there was a show. There used to be a show. It was called oh man, I don't remember what it's called, but they would. Damn, it's gonna bother me now. Weird. Something about weird science or something like that. It was on the Science Channel.
Okay.
But basically, they would look at paranormal or just crazy videos in general, and they would try to figure out what was going on. And it seemed like to me the one thing that one of the things that they really didn't have a grasp on was some of the light anomalies that they had videos of, and they couldn't tell if they were real or not. But the majority of them, they could tell if they were real or not.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff that was like the one video that was going around a while back of the guy getting struck by lightning twice. Have you seen that?
I think I have. Yeah.
It's fake.
Yeah.
They debunked it, you know, like completely, but it was going around completely being accepted as real. But yeah, no, it was fake. And like, if you didn't know any better, if you didn't have like professionals looking at it and stuff, like, you wouldn't know. So
well, that's the thing. We kind of live in a society now where we tend to, especially like social media, see this all the time, where somebody will be like, "Oh, this person died, R.I.P." It's like, and they put it out there as if they died yesterday. It's like that person's been dead for 7 years, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Or it's like, oh, if enough people share this on a social network, then it must be true.
Oh yeah, there's that.
So
But now we have fact checkers. So
the thing that drives me nuts is one of the company I work for is a pretty large grocery manufacturing grocery chain, and people will post a coupon out there saying, "Oh, this coupon says if you buy $100 worth of groceries, they'll give you $125 back," and they'll share the shit out of that. And I'm like, I can assure you that's not real, nor will it ever be. They're never going to give you. You might get $10 back, maybe.
It's an unfortunate side effect of a thriving internet.
And then people, you know, actually try to do that and go to the stores, and then we hear about them getting all pissed off because they're like, "Hey, what's going on here?"
Yeah. Well, I think the problem is as long as there's technology out there, people are going to have to learn how to maneuver through it. They're going to have to be able to tell what the difference between. And I'm talking about themselves. I mean, there's ways to spot things that are fraudulent, you know?
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to rely on fact checkers and all that crap. You're going to have to look at things and be able to tell, use your brain. And
well, the thing is, I don't think a lot of people
does it make sense?
A lot of people don't want to go through that exercise.
That's right.
Like, I would rather have a third party tell me, you know, that it's good.
That's not any better though.
Not really. It's kind of like what Snopes.com.
Worse.
You know, I used to go to Snopes.com whenever there was stuff that popped up to see if it was valid and stuff. And even them, sometimes they've discredited them. So it's like, okay, now you're supposed to have this reputable site that can fact check, like you said, especially during the
dude. And it's getting even worse now, because before long we're going to all be forced to have to use the deep web. You're gonna have to, in order to navigate and go. People are gonna have to, just to have websites. First of all, just to have a website that's not in danger of being, you know, taken down or not being supported by their server or by their host, you know, company, because they got pressure put on them because of Google. You know, so it's only a matter of time, I think, before we see the internet get bigger, and there'll be multiple things we can do instead of just.
Well, there's that fine line, right, between trying to say protect people from like child pornography and things like that. You know,
there are things that are illegal.
But
there are things that are illegal, and there are things that I might find immoral, or you might find immoral, and I don't find immoral.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're still illegal.
I mean,
right?
my
So
thing is I got tired of
it's
seeing.
legal or not in the United
I got
States.
tired. I'm not a big politician person.
Me either. Me either.
And it's like,
But
but
when
I
it
saw
starts
enough.
affecting
I saw enough bullshit on both sides of it that it's like I don't like either. You know,
no,
this supporter, this
I don't
supporter. I don't
care.
want to see either one of them.
I don't care. I don't care about politics. All I care about is what affects me and you know my kids and all that stuff, right? So I don't feel like I feel like the internet thing, and that's something that's you know I'm kind of on. I'm on the side of. I'm on everybody's bad side. I'm not. I'm definitely not a. Not a. I'm not on either political side
Yeah,
or either side of the political spectrum. I have
yeah.
never felt fallen inside of either side of the political spectrum. It's just the way I am, man.
No,
I
I
don't like.
get
I
it.
don't like to talk about politics, but it's so. But we're not even talking about politics. Why does that even have anything to do with politics? It's crazy, right? I don't know. I don't know why that's wrapped up. Why is whether or not we can have a website wrapped up in politics? Why the hell does that have to do with politics?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean,
Why is that even a part of conflated to that? I don't know
but
why.
honestly, I
But
mean,
it is.
you
It
see it.
is.
You see it.
Yeah,
I
no, it
mean,
is. It is, but
um,
it shouldn't even be part of the conversation.
I mean, could you imagine if Facebook for one day pulled back all their algorithms and
I personally,
personalization?
I'm not for a lot of government, but I'm for. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm for. All I know is I'm not for like you know everybody not being able to say the stuff they want to say. I guess. But
Well, and then there's a line in the sand that, or I think younger generations tend to be more, and maybe I'm off, so I'm just going to throw it out there, and if I'm wrong, somebody call bullshit. But I feel like when I talk to my kids and millennials and stuff like that, they're more open mind, or they're more accepting of having less privacy in order to have
more security.
more security or the perception of more things to do. Because it's like, I remember when my kids were little, it's like, if you get on Facebook, shit like that, you don't like. One thing I hated was when kids were getting their driver's licenses, their parents were posting a picture of them holding their driver's license up, like, and not even trying to skew the
That's part of
information.
that. That's part of that. Not using your brain.
And I work in the security industry. Okay, that's my bread and butter. And I would hit these people up. I'm like, you want to brag about your kid getting a license? That's great. But let me tell you what I just know about your kid right now. I know where they live. I know what state they're in. I got the driver's license number. And they're
Right.
like, oh, but you don't have this and this. So I'm like, okay, you're right. And I was like, I go over here. I plug the driver's license in. And I'm like, now this is what I got from you. And it's all about all these different pieces.
Yeah.
They don't seem, they're all spread out, but really it doesn't take much to pull all that shit together and put together
No,
a whole
it
program.
doesn't.
And
No,
it's
it
just,
doesn't.
and it's just, I'm not all about the tinfoil hat and we got to lock everything down, because obviously the world doesn't work that way. I mean, I enjoy Google products, and I know that they're harvesting my information and they're selling it and making money off of it. But I've accepted that in order to use their products.
At
But
the same time, while I do allow them my information, I only allow them
Mhm.
certain levels of my information. I mean, like there's certain, but but then you wonder like, what do you even like? You do have a lot of people that have this mentality. It's like I don't do anything wrong, so I don't.
What I
So
got to hide.
what do I
Yeah.
have to hide? So nobody's going to look at me because I don't have anything. Like I'm not important. I don't do anything important. Who's going to spy on me? And that's ultimately true for the most part
Yeah,
until you
you're a
are
fish in a big
until
pond.
until you are one of those people.
And then they go back and they can find every single thing about, oh, it's like, okay, well, Katie's never going to be a politician because of this incident back on Facebook from, whatever the case may be, kind of thing. Yeah.
Or we're gonna have to
Shit never
take
gets
your
erased on the internet.
YouTube page down because of this thing that you said.
Right. And there's some of these people, that's how they make money. And then they
Hey,
pull the
but some of
monetization out of it.
a lot of that though, it almost seems like you get what you deserve sometimes. And I don't want to say all of it. I want to say a lot of it. Well, if you support um, that kind of ideal or ideology or whatever, and you support it, and that's, I mean, it's gonna, that same ideology is gonna take you down. Is that cancel culture type thing? That's, it's, people are gonna and that's neither left nor right. There's people on the left and the right who both do that.
I don't know. I feel like
that's not even a political issue. That's just
I mean, I'm kind of the mindset that if I don't like it, I just kind of move on. I mean, obviously, if it's something that's maybe is breaking the law or something, that's a different story. But most of the shit that people get fired up about, it's like just scroll on past and move on.
I just, or just don't look at it. Don't get on. Don't why you scrolling?
People get so worked up and stressed about
staring at your phone. Scrolling.
It's like how is this stuff is controlling you? It's
it does. It controls your. Facebook did experiments a while back to try and see if they could influence people's moods, just by the posts, and they were able to, and so they do have a level of control over your mood.
There's just a great documentary on Netflix about that. I can't remember the name of it, but they were talking about what kind of information they harvest, those kind of experiments. They even assigned a dollar value to everybody's information, and it was kind of staggering how, you were saying, well, I'm a little fish, how much that was even worth.
Right.
When they start figuring out, oh, KD likes to buy these things, and he likes to do this and do that. No,
Yeah, and it's worth a lot on a larger scale.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a demographic.
The crazy thing is when you're, sitting in your house and your kids come in and talk about something, you don't even Google it or anything, and then suddenly there's ads for it on your Facebook.
Dude, I know. No, that happened to me. That happened to me just the other day, dude.
Like, it's one thing if I'm Googling something on my phone and it's pulling that history. I get how that works. But the fact that Facebook is suddenly giving me ads about something that my kids talked about, we've never texted it. We had a face-to-face verbal conversation. It's like, okay, so does that mean the microphone's on and that's how you're processing this shit now?
Dude, that happened to me just the other day. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something very specific that I said. Mm-hmm. The next thing you know, I turn around and I look in. It was my Google. I just opened my Google app, and it's got like news, stories, and things from like what you searched or whatever on the opening page on your app. Well, it had the thing that I had said right there at the top, and I was like, dude, I know for a fact now that my phone listens to me even when I'm not like using any of the apps that require the mic or anything. Yeah.
Social dilemma. Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely and again, that's got a spin on it too, right? Because I mean there's always a spin, but it was definitely enough to you watch that and you go, yeah, wow. But I think
there's a spin on everything. There's always a spin. Like the reason the people put these pieces out, whether it's written or it's a video on YouTube or Netflix, documentary, whatever, especially documentaries, they're made with a certain perspective in mind to persuade you to whatever they're trying to persuade you to. So you have to keep that in mind when you're watching these documentaries and stuff. A lot of people. Well, some people they'll watch a documentary, they go head over heels over it. And, they're
and then the best is when you've got a documentary that's talks about this sucking, and then there's another documentary that says that's bullshit. So you see like documentaries that are kind of on the same subject.
And what? I was thinking about this the other day. You know how they keep saying that well, okay, take for instance YouTube, right? They have a bad name for going around and like banning people for or just deleting your channel because of something you did and banning you from YouTube or whatever because of something you said or whatever, right? Or just who you were or whatever opinion you took. That's what they said that's the reason why they were taken off YouTube. Well, so like I have a theory that YouTube kind of uses, or I don't know if this is direct or indirect, but they kind of funnel you into a certain way of thinking, and they kind of direct you away from another way to think. And I know everybody knows the shadow banning thing and all that, but like I'm talking about like when you can put it on one channel and hit play, and it'll play. Then, like when that video is over, it'll play the next video
Yep.
that's most closely related to that last video, right? If that last video was acceptable for you, for them anyway,
Yeah.
for you to be watching, right? If not, if it's not acceptable, they'll try to redirect your attention. They'll say, well, here's something else that you like, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't want to watch that anymore. Hey, you want to watch this. This is still up your alley, but it's more closer.
Especially if there's some kind of paid incentives too. That would, you know, that they're making money steering you another direction too.
Right, you know? And I even have YouTube Premium, so that I kind of take, like, when you have YouTube Premium, you're paying YouTube rather than having to watch all the.
They're getting their money regardless. It's just
they are getting their money. They're getting their money.
Time. Yeah.
Right, but they're not getting. But I'm not getting the ads straight from, you know. But I do get ads, but it's usually the content creators' ads. That, you know, they do their own ads. So, but also another thing they do is they do kind of keep you in that hole of thinking. Like, they'll keep recommending the same type of stuff to you over and over and over again. So you're not allowed to even think outside of whatever box that you're in. Like, you know, so if you just kind of sit there and watch whatever they recommend based on your history, then that's all you're gonna. They don't really recommend much outside of the spectrum of that, and whatever they do, it's like so wildly outside of the spectrum that you wouldn't watch it. It's almost like the algorithm's not just doing those certain things. It's like there's other things that are happening, either, like I said, directly or indirectly. They're the cause of that, but it creates these communities. You know, it's weird, man. It's like a large scale thing. I like to look at more numbers on it.
And you look at, I mean, you look at how much these social networks can impact and redirect people's opinions on things. I mean, all the, and like you said, they've done experiments on that too. But I mean, you could put a bunch of shit out there, and people just go down that rabbit hole no matter what it is.
Yep.
And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much at all. I mean, it can kill people's careers. It can, you know, there's just all kinds of shit. And people love a good witch hunt.
That's what it is lately. It's a witch hunt.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people just want to feel like they have a voice in the something.
But ultimately, these social media sites, they don't have any. They have no obligation to keep you on there.
No.
They don't have to. It's a company. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
They don't have to. They have rules they abide by, right? But they don't have to like give you anything outside of what they say they're going to give you. You know. So it is what it is. But an interesting thing that was brought up whenever they were interviewing, you know, was it Senate or the senator, whoever had old Zuckerberg up there.
Yeah.
They were asking him. Oh, that was just that whole thing was. If you hadn't watched that, man, you got to watch that.
It's all part of it. Yeah.
Oh God, it's great, dude. And another thing is you got to watch the bad lip reading.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen that?
Of that particular one?
Of Zuckerberg's? Oh God.
No, I haven't. I need to do
my
that.
God, it's freaking hilarious, dude. It's freaking hilarious. The bad lip reading. I forgot what I was gonna say. but that's about that particular thing. But yeah, yeah, that's funny, man. Bad lip reading. If there's anything y'all take away from this, bad lip reading, Zuckerberg and the Senate hearing or whatever is hilarious. Hilarious.
We're not just here to talk about ITC and paranormal.
We didn't talk about any ITC. We talked about a little bit.
But here's the funny thing: all the stuff we've touched on could kind of relate back to all this. You know, as far as all the difference in opinions and how you can steer people to certain conclusions. I mean, it's in there.
Well, another use that I found, this might be like I said, like an indirect use of like a ghost box, right? Is if you just sit and with the ghost box going and whatever you're doing, you know, like me, I'll turn one on a lot of times while I'm just working in my lab, and I'll have it going in the background. And you're hearing a lot of things that it's just radio chatter a lot of times. But it's saying stuff like, it'll be saying political terms over and over and over again, or it'll say somebody's name over and over and over, maybe a politician or something. So if nothing else, sometimes I think you can kind of get a little snapshot of what's going on in the world by listening to a ghost box late at night, especially because there's so much talk radio on.
Yeah.
And you're scrolling through if you scroll real slow through all of them, you'll kind of get little glimpses, and it's almost like there's a pattern there, and you start seeing patterns of things come out of it. And maybe it's just going crazy from listening to ghost box too long.
Well, so that you were saying
it could be solder fumes.
Yeah,
okay.
It could be all that. You could have some kind of lead poisoning or something like that.
It could be extended ghost helmet use.
Yeah, I mean, all those things. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're not. That's not FDA approved or whatever. Whatever be the governing body for using a ghost helmet. What would that fall under?
I don't think you need approval.
FCC? Would that be the FCC? What would that be?
You don't need approval to put magnets next to your head, man.
I feel like somewhere somebody's tried to pass something about that. You know, it's like up there with, hey, don't take preparation H, don't actually eat it. It's supposed to be done externally.
That's ingesting something.
Because somebody's actually done that, you know, and that's why they have to put the rule out there.
Well, I'm sure, yeah, you could be like, don't eat the magnets off the ghost helmet.
It depends on the size of the magnets, you know.
I mean, no, they're totally swallowable.
Yeah.
You can
if they're super powered electromagnets, and you've got fillings in your teeth, that might be
colorful and stuff. No, this ain't nothing like that. No, that I have come to the conclusion myself that there is no way. The only kind of health anything I could think of that might come from the helmet would be from the lights.
Well, I would think that, so like an epileptic type thing.
Yes, that would be the only. That's the only thing I can think of, man, because it's electromagnets, man. They're just magnets, you know. It's not like it's not electromagnetic fields. I mean, when you go to get an MRI, what do they ask you? What things do they ask you?
Yeah, you wearing any jewelry? You got any fillings? You got any? Yeah.
And that's an MRI, man. That's a super high powered magnet. You know, that's super magnets.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd say
I've had lots of MRIs, and my tattoos start cooking when I'm getting an MRI for a while. Yeah, I start feeling heating up.
Yeah.
Right, my whole arm heats up, and So I mean, that's a high powered magnet, right? And but they don't like ask you anything outside of have you welded in the past 90 days, and you know that's about it. Or do you have any fresh tattoos? You know, because fresh tattoos apparently, I don't know, man. Yeah, I felt like it was like the ink. Well, you know, the ink from your tattoo ink has metal in it from the needle.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Like tiny, just microscopic pieces of metal. So it's all up and down your arm if you got a sleeve. And like my arm, even this arm heats up more in the sun than the other one does. So yeah, in the MRI. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, you know, that's super high power electromagnetic fields that are in the room. Like you can't.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot more stuff that you're exposed to on a regular basis that would cause more issues than anything like that.
But it's just magnetism. That's all it is. It's just magnetism.
So let me ask you. You talk about you got your lab. It's in the Stafford HQ. You know, so do you ever run into, because you test a lot of stuff down there, so that these things are on, and do you ever run into like what they call attachments and things like that? Do you ever get anything weird like that? Because I know you also go out and you field test these in the field, obviously, and I know you've done some graveyard stuff and obviously events and different places and that. But I'm assuming a lot of your initial testing is right down there in the basement, just out of convenience.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'll have a ghost box running all the time. So
So I mean,
who knows? Yeah, no, I've had things come and hang out, especially like they'll follow you, especially with ITC, because that's what obviously I focus on. So that's what's going to be attracted, I believe. And I think if anything, it kind of like makes like a beacon for things that they get close, and they say, "Oh, what's going on over here?" I don't know if that's how it works. Might be a little bit more complicated than that.
It could be a beacon. It could be that there's some of that stuff is kind of stored up.
Right.
You know, and they see, oh, okay, and you know, yeah, who knows? I've kind of wondered that because you know you have some people who are like, oh, shouldn't be doing that in your own home and stuff.
Right, yeah, I know. And,
yeah, I mean,
I don't get it. I don't get it. I do it. If you don't, hey, more power to you. Like I said, I don't bust on anybody's way they do things. But you know, I feel like I don't know. There's things that supposedly you can do to keep things at bay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So
they're more on the spiritual side than the.
So I've taken some spiritual, metaphysical.
Yeah. You got somebody close to you that knows some stuff about that. Yeah.
To keep things at bay.
Yeah.
Keep things from getting out of hand, I think.
Same,
and that might be helping. Yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a disbeliever of anything, but I critically think.
Jenna's more on the spiritual side, and I trust, she's like, I want you to do this and do that after an investigation. And I kind of look at her like, but you know what, on the same token, it's like, what's it going to hurt? I mean.
Well, sometimes I'll just tell Katie, no, like, I'm going to let her ding me just to make her mad.
You know. I will say though, when I walk backwards out of a place, I break dance out of it. So you know what I mean. You gotta do it with a little moonwalk. You gotta do the moonwalk.
Yeah.
You know, that way you do it with a little bit of flair. So I don't know if that really. I don't know if that negates the whole process, or if the ghost is like, oh, this guy knows how to do some stuff. Let's hang out with him for a bit.
Now, are you talking about like places that you've had to run out of?
Well, just talking about how some things, like one of the things we do typically is when we leave a location, we go through the process of thank you for letting us be here. You need to stay here. Don't come home with us. And this is
where you're going wrong, man.
This is your casa. This is me. And then we're not to the point where you're throwing like iron and salt down and shit. But it's like,
if you want to talk to stuff in your house, man, you gotta let that stuff come home.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
You gotta invite it in, man.
Well, I mean, no, I say, I'm not saying that we don't have some stuff, but
right, no, I don't advocate
because there's been some shit, and we live in a newer house, so it's not like we're living in a haunted mansion or anything. But again, I feel like if your mind's more open to this kind of stuff, you tend to be you see it more. You know what I mean? You've kind of opened it. It's whether that means you're just exposed to it more, and like you said, you're more of a beacon, or if maybe you've kind of trained your brain to see things that most people just don't even think about it because it's too out there or whatever. Because I mean,
I think
Jenna's more on the spiritual side. And I think Katie's kind of the same way from what I've seen of her, and they tend to kind of go that route. And there's times where Jenna will say something and I'll kind of be like, really? And she'll be like, and then something will happen. I'll be like, all right, I'm just going to shut up. I'm just, that's your space. That's your space. And
Katie,
and then I'll have stuff happen to me. And Jenna will be like, that's so adorable. You finally had your first, they touched you or whatever the case was.
Katie will say some shit that's just crazy, man. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Whatever. And then next thing you know, something happens and verifies it. And I'm like,
and that's how I am too. It's like it shouldn't make sense.
Okay.
Yeah, normally if somebody else would have told me that, I might be like, really? But then, that's
what I'm saying. Even with some of the kids, I mean, I'm a skeptical believer. Even but anybody can be. Some things just sound too. I don't care who you are, right? You can be my mama and say something that sounds outlandish to me, and it's hard for me to believe.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Katie, I know I should know better than not listen to what Katie says.
Well,
because Katie is right a lot of times about stuff. So.
And I've said many times too, and maybe you can appreciate this. I know Katie probably would appreciate this. Behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes, and that's
Katie keeps me going, man.
So So there are times where Jenna will get really excited and she'll hear something and I'll be like, I don't think that's what that really said. Oh, and I'll debunk it and she'll be like, okay, no, you're right. But then there are other times when she'll have something and I'll be like, damn girl, yeah, that's I went down my checklist and none of those things are what it is. So yeah, it's something new. And like I said before, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is supernatural. It just means that I, with my level of experience, don't know how to explain it. And normal doesn't mean that someone like yourself or someone else could come along and go, oh, well, yeah, that's just this. It just means that that's where I'm at.
Well, yeah, I just put things out. I just say, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what happens. When I even put much of my own research out, I don't really do that a whole lot. Yeah, behind every angle. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's the other way. Yeah, you got the other spin on it. Yeah, he's got it.
So confusion.
Yeah,
confusion.
Yeah. What did I do? What was? You should know already. You should know. If you don't know, that's why I'm angry.
That's the confusions.
Yeah. But I think I kind of dig having that balance of like I'm definitely more on the like if I can't pick it up with a device or I can't see it with my own eyes. Or video or something like that. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around somebody saying, "Oh, I feel this and I feel that," because it's like I don't know what that is.
That's partially why I kind of got into building things. That's partially why I got into the Ghost Summit.
Yeah, and Jenna will be like, "You don't see that?" Like she'll point it out and she'll describe it in great detail, and I'm like, "Hun, I fully believe that you." Think you're seeing or hearing what you like. You're not like just being like, I'm gonna screw around with him. This is gonna be funny, But then there's times I'm like, yeah, I mean, it could just be something.
You say to Jenna, I fully believe that you think that you're seeing what you're seeing.
I said that once, I think.
More like, I fully believe you, honey.
No, she knows that. But again, she said shit enough to where now I'm like, you know what? I'm not. It's harder for me to question it. Early on it was like, no. But I think also too, if you're too far on the skeptic side, you're not open-minded enough to at least accept the possibility of some things. And the flip is on the other side, where if you're too open-minded, then every piece of dust is an orb, and you know what I mean. So it's like you gotta find that space where you're at least your critical thinking kind of thing.
Yes, yeah. You got to find a balance. Critical thinking.
So that sums up our relationship. Right there. There it is, folks. There it is.
I knew it.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with publishing that. I don't think she's saying anything that nobody that's known me very long doesn't know. But
that's funny.
I think there's a certain amount of dumbassery that it takes to do paranormal stuff, because who else would go into these creepy buildings and crawl around in the dirt and sit in cold buildings for hours on in the dark, hoping to be touched or have some
all night, usually on your day off on the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a certain amount of that goes with the territory.
Right.
But like I've always said, man, it's like 99% of the time. Stuff it's kind of like there's we didn't get anything that was like really out there, but that 1% is when you get that shit that you go, damn, that's what keeps me coming back to it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the direction that I go with. I kind of go with whatever equipment seems to be kind of producing any kind of results that keep me going, so I don't want to say that that's the only reason why I do it, because sometimes, Ghost Box, you run it for hours and you don't really get anything but garbled whatever, things that don't make sense, whatever. But then sometimes, there's that small window where you get like full back and forth, intelligent communication, and there it is. It's a lot of patience involved. So it does take a lot of dumbassery.
Well, yeah, it does. But so talking a little bit of tech, you kind of touched on this a little bit with your nano comms. The difference between analog and digital. and I know there's a lot of shit talk when it comes to digital stuff.
I don't know why. I mean,
Well,
I really don't.
Isn't that just another avenue? But I was going to ask you. So, on like the random and again, if I'm dipping into your patented stuff, then you tell me just to shut up and don't ask.
None of it's really patented. I always
But-
tell people if they're interested to just contact me.
But I was curious, like when you you do some coding on those. There is a digital component to some of those nanocoms and stuff like that. As far as like there's you are because I know I've talked to you before and some of the other builders, and they talk about I've programmed these codes and things like that to do. I'm assuming the actual logic for the sweeping and things like that. I mean,
yeah. The nanocoms are digital.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But the ink boxes aren't.
Right.
So ink boxes are analog. So I didn't feel like just learning one side of it was enough. But at the same time, that doesn't change my satisfaction with using digital radios. Because, otherwise, I wouldn't make the nanocom.
I mean, I've heard people that'll be like, "Oh man, digital sucks and all this," and I'm like, "Well, a lot of those ghost boxes use guitar effects boxes, for reverb and noise gates, and most of the small ones that like you see, what is the Portal? I think I've seen before, where it looks like guitar parts. I'm like, I gotta what?
You go ahead.
Oh, let's say Portal. Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, that's just a battery-powered guitar. I got all this shit downstairs in my jam room. Let me build this box here. They're still having to power it with a radio, some kind of sweep radio, but all the components are digital. So I'm like, it's kind of a hybrid.
Well, here's well, I mean, you don't really refer to the audio side of the amp side of the ghost box when you're talking about when you're differentiating between is it digital or is it analog,
right?
Because obviously, it depends. Are you using a digital amp? Are you using
and all those things? Obviously, the sound that goes through it, and with the noise gate, it's cutting things off. That's what a noise gate does. Reverb is adding artifacts to it, so it could be
most of that's digital. The majority of that
exactly. So it's like you're already allowing digital. Yeah, you're allowing digital to manipulate the audio even more.
Well, and also the radio chips themselves that you're using and the digital radios are just radio ICs.
Yep.
I mean, they're just radio ICs. That's all they are. They're FM radio ICs. And there's like 3 commonly used ones, right? But they're all used in what you would refer to as analog radio. And, when they say analog radio, they're really just talking about the radio circuit itself.
Yeah, like there's actually a manual dial.
And what controls what? So what you're really referring to when you say digital or analog is the actual control method of the radio. Okay. It's not the radio itself. It's the control method. So it's how you make it go forward or backwards or randomly jump around in the bandwidth or, the speed that it goes forward or backward. So it controls all that, right? It can control the mute. You can control it. Well, it also depends on which radio chip you use because each radio chip has different qualities, different functions that you can call out of different libraries that are obviously, I'm not a coder, I'm not a computer programmer, so I don't write my own libraries. I use existing radio libraries and I pull from the libraries and I write my code. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as taking a sketch and just using somebody else's sketch or using somebody else's code straight out, but it is pulling from existing libraries, which is the only common sense thing to do. I mean, you're obviously not going to rewrite. What's the next step? Usually make your own compiler to do it. No, I'm not going to do all that.
There's no point in that. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel on something that you're going to end up with the same.
You're talking about like master level stuff. So at what level does it get to where it's like at what point does the radio not?
Right.
I mean, you're still sweeping the bandwidth. It doesn't matter how you're pushing that bandwidth. You're still pushing.
Are there purists out there that are gonna put their nose up and say unless the
hopefully those purists. There are a few purists.
Because it's
But
like, are you saying you'd have to have an automated, like, the tuner knobs would have to basically spin in order to be truly analog? That like the actual functions for the purist to really respect it. Versus, like, I know what you're saying. Most and every most of that's digitally controlled because it just makes sense to do it that way.
Well, I mean, it's a way to make one where you can make it low cost.
Yeah.
So more people
Portable.
can
Yeah.
afford one, and so they're smaller and they're easy to carry around.
Well, could you imagine if you had one where the dials were motor controlled? How quickly those would probably wear out.
I have
Yeah.
motor control. The motors do wear out.
Because as much as they're scanning through, they're not really designed to do that kind of.
That's not even analog radio. That's not analog radio. And I don't know of anybody who actually makes those. So, I've made those. I think there's another guy that made those. This made the mechanic. That's actually a mechanically tuned because you're using a mechanical function to tune through the stations. Yeah, it's sweeping through like you're turning it with your hand, but the method you're using is a mechanical method. You're using another mechanical arm to simply simulate what your hand is doing, right? And so a ghost box snob would say, who believed only in analog or whatever. They're talking about with an analog sweep circuit.
Okay.
So it's got to be radio. It's got to be voltage tuned, and it's got to have you got to build an analog sweep circuit and connect it to it. But there are very few people like that these days. It
feels like
the amount of people that are like that right now. They might be out there, but I'm not encountering them. Okay. I know of a couple people that are old school.
It just feels like that's if you're limiting what if the
like I said, dude, it's dumb to say that one thing works and one thing don't. So
I'm like, if energy should be energy. Energy should be energy, and maybe there are certain types of energy. Well, even that energy is energy, but maybe it's easier for a parent or a spirit or something to interact with an analog more than digital. But I don't know, man. I don't think
so. I think it's whatever you personally prefer yourself. I'm not here to convince anybody who's sworn to analog radios to switch over to digital or vice versa.
Well, you bring up a good point too, and we've touched on this a little bit. Is sometimes it could totally be the user. Well, that's the other part of the equation, or at least a piece of it in my mind. Yeah, because it's like, again, you give, like I said, you take that ink box, dial it in, Jenna will dial it in, and that thing will just sing like a bird there. And then you have to give it to me, and it's just you
have to take into consideration there's something a lot of people don't think about, but what are you trying to talk to through what kind of box? Because I feel like different things can communicate differently through different methods that are all those different methods all use radio of some means, right? So some things can come through the radio static, right? Some things, it seems like their voice is imprinted in the radio static, and that's actually that voice of that, whatever that is. And it could be a spirit of a human. It could be whatever. Don't know, right? But it's clearly communicating underneath the static through the radio waves, right? And then there's some things that seem to intelligently communicate by using those little bits and pieces of audio and stringing them together, and you get 3 or 4 different voices that were bits and pieces of audio from radio stations that run together, and they say 1 or 2 words, but they're 4 or 5 different voices, or whatever. And that's
so what about like IP radio stuff versus analog over the air radio as the source?
Are you talking about like web radio?
Yeah. Do you see a difference in how that plays into this?
Sure.
I mean, because it's obviously you have to have some kind of internet connection. That plays into it.
It is ITC. Now, it's not what I prefer
Mhm.
to do. It's not my focus because you're talking about the whole other side of it that you're dealing with. Because at that point, you're not really worried about connecting to. You're not worried about radio circuits. You're not worried about sweeping a radio. Then it's all code, and you're using web radio, right?
Well, I think, and I don't know if it was, I don't think it was you guys, but somebody else was doing something where they had, maybe it was the Ghost Box, but they were streaming it. So you were on the web picking up their Ghost Box through a stream. And I'm assuming it was live, but so this thing, I guess, was just on, but it was streaming to the web. And it's like,
Yeah, I've done that. There's several people that have done that.
and it's like, okay, so what's interesting about that to me is, and I was talking to Jen about this, trying to wrap my head around it, was, it's like the distance and stuff doesn't necessarily, that takes it kind of out of the equation, because now because typically I would expect, for me, I got it in front of me. So I'm part of the equation. The physical box is part of it, and I'm in an area. Now I'm like almost remote viewing type of thing.
Right.
And it's like, how does that work, or how does that impact it?
There's some people that get there all, they hear what they want to hear, and then see there's a lot of elements that you have to take into consideration when you're talking about streaming. The audio from Ghostbox, right? You got to take into consideration like your compression,
right?
The audio compression,
all the artifacts and the quality.
Yeah, right. And the acoustics of the room that I'm in, the acoustics of the room that you're in,
mm-hmm.
the amplification on whatever you're using, whatever device you're using to listen to whatever to what I'm streaming. And then there's the stachyacoustic effect in the room that you're in, with the sound kind of layering over itself and producing what you hear, right, as opposed to it producing what I hear on my end. So it's almost like it's almost like a virtual echo chamber.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I was kind of like thinking about that. I'm like,
because I'm using my whole room as an echo chamber, and the microphone on the computer as the pickup microphone, like on a Frank's box. That's how his echo chambers work.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. It's like, are some of these live feeds, are they using like a microphone in front of the Ghost Box, or are they doing some kind of almost to an audio interface and running it like digitally out? So you're not, you're not getting the room noise and stuff. You're just getting the pure signal type of thing.
Well, I have this little microphone now that I use.
Okay. Yeah, so you're doing
USB mic.
Yeah, I got you.
So you do have the audio effect of the room. I'm not running it straight into the audio straight into the computer. Right. So it is playing out over the room, and it's either being recorded or picked up by the microphone on my computer or the microphone on that I just showed you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a cool little thing to do, and surely people have done it. I don't know. I'm sure. Please send that postcard. Okay.
She's not going to shut up about that.
Okay.
You know that is.
No,
you know that is.
I know.
No, I'm excited. Okay. I think Katie said she sent the NanoCom out, or you guys sent it out this week. So I'm looking forward to giving that a shot.
I think we sent it yesterday. Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah, the speed on it's cool. The audio is reversed. The audio is not traditional left and right. It's right to left.
Okay.
I fucked it up, but you know what? When I fuck them up, I don't change them.
It's a special edition.
It is. That's what Frank did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
that might be
if he wired. Some people, you can say I'm lazy and I just don't want to open it back up and swap it out all you want. But fact is, Frank's assumption would, if he wired it up backwards and it worked, and it worked like it was supposed to, but it was just the opposite way.
Yeah.
He'd leave it like that because this way it was supposed to be.
Some people could argue that maybe there was some compelling force.
Exactly, that's what
he was drawing or guiding you to do it that way.
That's what he was
for a
implying.
reason. There was a purpose. There's never a mistake, right?
And there are very few of them anymore that actually happens with. So when it happens, it's almost like finding a little 4-leaf clover. It's like finding a error baseball card.
Yeah. Okay. No,
You know what I'm saying? You got
I won't be
special
like,
one.
God damn it, why did you do it this way? I'll be like, oh no, man, this is like a 4-leaf clover.
Because I very rarely wire them up the other way anymore, but it did happen this time. But it sounded good, so I was like, fuck it, I'm not changing. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, screw it, I'm not changing.
Oh, I can figure it out.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem. But yeah,
No, yeah. So yeah, and the speed on the side, I think you'll like that. If you don't like it, or if you want it faster or slower, or whatever, next time I see you, program it, and I'll change the values on the speed.
Cool.
But that's the beauty of the digital suite.
Right. You just
I can go in and I can easily make adjustments, if need be. And you can't do that with an analog circuit, because then you're talking about rebuilding the entire circuit, or you're talking about planning those additional things into the circuit to begin with, in which case is hard for me to do. The ink boxes are like that, but I can still, to a degree, I can still do other things with the ink box. That's why I like the ink box.
Yeah.
It's because there's a lot that I can experiment with on the ink box. There's the onboard microphone that I can mess with, and there's just a lot that I can do with it.
So the one thing that's cool about the ink box too is that you can put like a memory card in there, or even I guess a cassette too if you really wanted to.
Yep.
Want to go old school.
Memory card, USB card. You can put a USB stick in there.
Yeah. So the question I have you looked down the road of doing something with a Nanocom where it would have like a USB port to either charge it via US, like a rechargeable battery port, but also have a way of you could plug in and reprogram it, or even, have a way to have like a SD card slot that you could record what you're playing. I don't even know what that would entail from a, you're like, God, just shut up, man. That's way too much work.
No, it's not. It's not.
But I mean,
it's
like, I'm just thinking like,
No, I can do all of those things. It's just a matter of like, because like I said, I like to kind of keep things somewhat affordable.
Yeah.
And yeah, so far I haven't had a huge demand for people wanting like a digital recorder function on the Nano, but that is a good idea. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then, we just go to Supernatural Inc. whenever we need an update. Right. We just download the file and then reboot the thing, and it reads that new into ROM memory or whatever. I'm talking kind of out my ass there. But
there are a few things involved there that I have to engineer in. But there's always additional things like you said. You tell me you want something like that, and if you want something like this, that's kind of what I like to do. I like to do things that I like to try a new idea. I don't like to build things. Okay, well, I don't mind it to a degree if I think something's really good and useful, like the Nanocom. I felt like that was useful, and so I'm not just going to put something out that everybody else puts out. I feel like if I've done something my own way, I put my own spin on it, and I feel like it's useful, and you can use it in a different capacity that you can other things, then I feel like it's a good addition. So the Nanocom was cool. The Inkbox I feel like is definitely cool because it's got all this other stuff. So, like if you come to me and you say, hey, I want a Nanocom that records the audio, I'd be like, all right, well, I'll get right back to you on that. I'll tell you how much that's going to be. Because I just
the first one's always the most expensive, right? Because you have to all the the additional work and labor and parts and stuff, and then I guess if you could start selling them commercially with that feature, and it was something people would want, then that's how you bring the price back down.
Yeah, it always helps to have several people want one of that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's good to have. It's good to have that experimental one too, and I have had that. I'm actually working on a couple things but it's mostly design oriented stuff. Like, like I want mine designed like this. Like I want a Nanocom that looks like a coffin.
Or you got somebody that sends you a plastic child's toy that looks like a big worm, and they want you to
put sensors on it.
Do all kinds of interesting things.
You know what I did to the other toy, right? I've been scared to open that one up because I opened up a speak and spell recently and I burned it up, and I was like, oh my god, dude.
I'd love to see somebody, and maybe that's already been done, do like an Ovilus but with the speak and spell, make it look. I told Jenna it'd be cool to get some old school stuff and just repurpose it for ghost box type stuff.
I think you can do that. There's ways to do that.
It seems like it's plausible given what it is. I mean, I
did kind of do that with like Austin has one. It's not a speak and spell. It's a talking whiz kid.
Okay. Yeah.
And well, the Ghost Brothers have it right now, but Austin had it, and he has it. It belongs to him. He'll get it back as soon as I get it back. He'll get it back, or he'll get it back. I don't know who they're going to ship it to, but it doesn't matter anyway. We're right. But it's got a circuit in it, and basically you hit a button on it, and it causes it to glitch out, and it starts glitching and saying just randomness. But it's just kind of doing it randomly, so it's not really being triggered to do it. It's just
right. It's just okay. It's not like picking up some kind of environment variable or something like that.
Right. No, it just you just confuse the hell out of it, and it just does all kind of and says all kind of crazy stuff. But that's kind of where like Frank Sumption believed that's where the magic was in the randomness in the circuit. So,
well, it's like maybe I'm dating myself, but they used to have this toy called the Merlin. I don't know if you remember that. It was this little red toy, and it had a bunch of push buttons on it. We go to the flea markets, and we go to the antique malls, and we're constantly always looking at shit like that. It's like, that'd be great for an EMF detector, because it's old school. It's got the nostalgia vibe to it. It's like it'd be cool to have a whole paranormal toolkit made up of just retro things, like ghost box made out of a Starsky and Hutch lunchbox, and just stupid, I want
to have like a Fallout oriented, oriented.
Because I'm sure people have done like steampunky type stuff, and done that theme, and
I'm still stuck on steampunk.
Yeah,
that's like my favorite thing. I haven't really. I'm working on something that's a little steampunk right now, but I hadn't really done any full on steampunk stuff in a while.
So how long? So you do a lot of the 3D printing stuff. When did you? How much of a learning curve is that to get into 3D printing? Because I started to look down that path, and the entry level 3D printers weren't too expensive, but I quickly looked at those and went, those look like they're going to be junk, and started looking at the ones that are more higher end, and it's like, man.
Nope. But Creality get you a Ender 3.
Yeah.
Ender 3. It's like the cheapest one you can get for the quality.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The best bang you can get.
Because they had some that were like made by Dremel that were like basically a complete system, but it was like $1,600 for that.
Oh, hell.
I'm like,
no way, no.
It's like the things I'd want to make, I don't ever imagine selling them.
It would definitely never perform worth $1,600.
That's kind of where I'm at. It's
but you spend $250 on one.
Yeah.
And you'll be happy with it.
Okay, I may look at that then.
And if you break it, it's not the end of the world.
Yep.
And you can fix it because they're pretty simple. And you can buy them. They come in different levels of taking apartness.
Yeah.
So there are different levels of put togetherness when you get them. So it just depends on where you get it from, how much stuff you have to actually build to put it together. But it's not a big learning curve, man. It depends on like your capacity for like art, I guess. I feel like as far as designing, 3D stuff, like, do you have like can you kind of imagine what you want whatever you're doing to look like, and then kind of apply it to a medium? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you put it on paper, or in this case, put it on the software? So like I use Tinkercad a lot. Tinkercad's for me is like crazy easy to use.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it's basically a CAD program, because I'm familiar with
it's a simplified CAD program, but it uses a lot of predefined shapes, because everything is shapes.
Yep.
Everything.
It's all vector stuff, right? I mean, more or less, yeah.
And so yeah, you just use all predefined 3D shapes, and you can import your own three-dimensional objects files, and you know, and I really like the whole function they have on there where you can make things a whole, and
Okay.
then you join objects together, and then you can make objects hollow by putting, or you can put holes in them by putting using a whole object. It's like you can make any object that you choose into a hole that's shaped the same as that object.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Does that make sense?
You. Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah.
Right. So that kind of, for me, just the way I think that works in my brain, I can make a lot of stuff.
I had a buddy that started around 3D. He 3D printed a guitar, but
dude, I would do that.
He already had the neck, so he had a guitar neck and had the bridge parts, and he put a reinforced piece down the middle. So basically, it was a neck through body.
Yeah, you'll have to use the neck, and you'll have to use like an actual neck, because there's no way.
I don't know if he ever finished it, because he was like talking about how much filament that was going to take to build. I know he started printing it. And it was like
probably no more than a roll. Probably a roll.
Okay, that's the other thing I was curious about is
$20. $20. You get a roll. You get a roll of filament. Usually, like basic filament on Amazon for like $20. And so that's 1 kilogram, 2.2 pounds for a roll.
So like, and again, if I'm dipping too far into your business model, but I'm trying to wrap.
Dude, to be a business. It's not a business. I just do it for fun.
What I was thinking was like, so you said, I'm trying to understand like how much of what a roll could work. So like, how many nanocoms S's could you print with one roll of filament? Is that even like an equation you can really just it? Like,
no.
Assuming they were all one color. You know, they didn't have multicolors. Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around how much stuff a filament.
You can probably get out probably 4 or 5 nanocoms.
That's not
one.
bad.
Yeah, like top and bottom and everything. That's if you don't have any bad ones, no warping. But you usually do. You'll have 1 or 2 that come out like that. If you print a lot, you'll have every once in a while you'll have a bad one, and you'll waste filament, or something your printer will tear up. Printers tear up. That's the nature of them. Like, you just buy more parts and you fix them, and then you just grab on. I never meant to become a 3D printer specialist, but that's the nature of 3D printing. Is you buy indirectly by association, you become a 3D printer specialist, and you end up working on them. And I have to like beat back ideas of building my own from the ground up because I want to, but then I'm like, no, stop it. You don't have time for that. It's dumb. You have other things to do. Just buy one, and so that's why I bought several. I bought more expensive ones. I bought cheaper ones. I bought bigger, cheaper ones. I bought bigger, more expensive ones. So I've found that Creality is the best for me at my level, I guess. I use the Creality Ender 3, and I use the CR10, and that's the bigger. It's just got a bigger print bed.
Okay.
But I usually don't even need to use that because I'm not printing anything that big. It's
like how much on average? How long does it take to print one of those? Then is it like an overnight thing?
Oh well, it's like with the helmet. The helmets take 3 days,
and that's
just for the helmet.
Is there enough? Now, can you set it and forget it, and there's enough filament in that it'll keep running on its own for 3 days? Or you have to come in.
As long as you make sure you put enough filament on there. If you put a roll on there, like a fresh roll, you're good.
So as long as it doesn't snag or something, you're in good shape. It just keeps doing its thing slowly but surely. Wow.
Yeah. As long as you don't buy jankety filament, as long as you pay middle of the road filament, you're okay.
Yeah, it sucked. Be about halfway through it, and then realize it's all screwed up or something.
Yeah, you'll find out what level you can go down to or what cost. What's the cheapest filament you can buy, and it's still decent to use.
Yeah.
There's cheap filament that's a pain in the ass, and it's not worth it. But then there, you go a little bit higher than that, and it's the quality stuff, and you go higher than that, and you don't even need to be spending that much because
Right.
it's no better than the middle of the road stuff. So, I mean, the PLA only gets so good. There's only so high quality you can get PLA, but PLA is good to start with. PLA.
Okay. I might check that out because some of the
I had several people that
printers
hit
were
me
like
up all the
pretty
time.
high dollar, and I'm like, man, I just for what I'm wanting to do, I just can't justify that cost because it's just more or less for my own personal use type stuff, and it's like, yeah, and
Right.
that's guitar gear I could be spending money on because I
Oh,
always need more of that.
I feel like a 3D printer is something that, shoot, I mean, any dude who's interested in tinkering with things, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is.
I mean, shit, just
Cars.
to build Baby Yodas and Mandalorian figures would be
If
worth,
you like action figures, right? It's perfect.
right?
Or I wouldn't go out and buy a resin printer because that gets messy, and that might not be the best place to start. But
Yeah.
3D printer, I would definitely, yeah, because I don't know how much nerd stuff I've printed. Fallout paraphernalia I've printed, and there's just endless amounts of 3D objects online you can print for yourself just for your own enjoyment.
Yeah. Well, it's like I feel like for Christmas I got one of those crickets. The kids bought me one of those crickets so you could print off your own shirts and shit.
Yes.
And so like growing up, my parents owned a sporting goods store in the small town I lived in, and so I used to do the heat transfer shirts and screen printing, and so kind of have a background on that. So this kind of brought all that full circle. And I feel like Cricut is the gateway drug, the gateway into 3D printing. Because
it's CNC.
Yeah, because I'm like, this is cool. I can make shirts and I can make stickers and
the gateway into like woodwork.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
in my mind, because it's
the routers, the CNC router machines, shit like that.
CNC only goes one. It only goes one direction.
Yep.
Or does it? No, it kind of goes back and forth. Yeah.
But I know what you mean. It's like,
but so it's the same as a router. You could even use a Cricut as like a rudimentary router.
Yeah, you can set them up to do like engraving and stuff.
Engraving, right?
Yeah.
And you can do like fine engraving and stuff like that. So that's cool.
Yeah,
I bought a CNC machine, and I still haven't got to where I can use it without feeling like I'm gonna destroy something.
Yeah.
Man, that spindle spins fast, bro, dude.
So I got some buddies of mine that are guitar builders, and I mean the one guy down the street here is just freaking. The stuff he puts together is just fantastic. I mean, he's just obsessive nerd about it, and just joints that you can't see, and just all these fancy woods. And he's got a badass one of those machines, CNC machines, and the shit he cuts out.
He's probably got an X-carve, one of those big X-carve things.
But all I know is the shit he puts together is like it's sexy. It's some sexy. I mean, he sells that shit for top dollar, and it's well deserving of it. He's going out and finding all kinds of exotic woods and binding them together and all that shit and cutting them, and that's a whole other thing. But it's
it's definitely worth it if you have a passion to do it or if you have an interest in it. But you just start out with like hobby level stuff and see what it takes you to. I mean, I would love to do something in 3D printing. I don't know if there's really like a field out there for as far as like employment as a 3D printer or whatever. Not specifically, but it's a good skill to have, and you never know. I mean, you might work somewhere one day where if you work anywhere where you prototype stuff, I guess, engineering in any capacity, you're going to end up using a 3D printer. So,
my one buddy that's got the 3D printing, he's a musician also, and he's constantly making like mic clips to work on drum kits and stuff.
Little stuff.
He'll be like, I can order this, or I can just. It's not quite exactly what I want. Shit, I'm just gonna make exactly what I need. Zip, 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 zip. Here you go.
And there's a lot of things that 3D printing is great for, and there's a lot of things that it's not great for. There's just some things that it's not there yet. The technology's not there yet, but there's a lot of things that it's just fine for. And it works really good. I wish I could. In a way, I wish I could make nanocoms and like a hard ABS, like a enclosure. But then they would be cookie cutter. They'd all be the same.
True. Yeah.
And
you probably have to farm that out potentially. Have somebody.
I would have to
injection
farm, 'cause I don't have.
area.
Yeah, I don't have. I mean, I dabbled when I was first trying to figure out how I was going to make enclosures. Right, I dabbled and actually I started dabbling because I'm a nerd. I started dabbling in thermal vacuum forming. Right.
Okay.
So I was making masks and stuff.
Oh, that would be cool.
With thermal vacuum forming, but with the stuff that the like consumer level stuff that I'm able to use or make. Actually, I made my own vacuum forming table, and I just hooked a shop back up to it, and I would heat up.
So this, right, ladies and gentlemen, this is why he's called the mad scientist.
You're right. So I would heat up sheets of polystyrene, and I would put them in a frame. I'd put them in a frame. I'd heat them up in an oven, and I'd put them over I'd have a mold on the table, put it over the mold, and turn on the vacuum, and it'd suck the plastic down around it.
Okay, sure.
But you're limited to a certain thickness when you have certain level of equipment. So unfortunately, the level of equipment I have, I wasn't making anything hard enough to be like a box, like a good electronics case. So
gotcha.
3D printing is about the most affordable way I can do it, and still maintain some level of creativity with it, because I can change little things on each box if I want to. I can add the design on the side or something that's on the other ones.
Yeah, because you can add people's logos and stuff. I remember you saying something about that. So teams, if they want custom whatever, they can do whatever they want, pretty much.
Right. That's cool. You can have whatever you want put on there. I just did somebody's ink box for somebody, and they wanted their I'm not going to throw names out, but they wanted their logo on the front, and that's not a problem. I can do that depending on the logo. Not always, right. But as long as it's not too complicated, because it is vectors and stuff.
Right. And there's only so much surface area that you can work with, and
right. Well, there's only so much detail.
Right.
Also you can add when you're talking about as small as you can print is like 0.12 millimeters.
Yep.
So
cool, man.
It is what it is, but I can do some pretty cool stuff.
No, I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome watching you guys build that stuff and 3D printing it. And
plenty of it over on the Supernatural Ink page.
Yeah. So So for those that are watching, it's Katie Stafford. He's with Supernatural Ink. So he's got his Facebook, and again, it's Supernatural INK, not like incorporated, like the fluid, like for tattoos and stuff. So if they're interested in getting one of these devices, they would just message you guys there and see, or do you have an actual?
No, okay. Yeah, Supernatural Ink. Please, as a matter of fact, if you are interested in getting anything from us, please go through Supernatural Ink Facebook page. Just message us on there. No, even if we're buddies, message the page, because that way me and Katie both can keep up with who's doing what, and it makes life much easier. Because, like I said, we're not Go Stop. We're not. We don't mass produce things. So everything I make is made with love.
Do you put like a secret message on the boards or anything? So,
if I did, and I told you it wouldn't be.
That's true. It wouldn't be magical, or it wouldn't be special.
Right.
Then, right?
I might put some kind of voodoo on it. Know?
I put this diode in backwards, but
if you look at some of my artsy boxes, right, like the Legba boxes, you would swear that there's.
Did you say Lego or did you say
Legba?
Oh, I was like, dude, I totally want a Lego base. I love
Legos.
Talk about modular, man.
They do have modular electronic stuff, like modular developer stuff. That's Lego like. Yeah,
I'd love to come out with like primary colors Lego Ghost Box to an event, and people be like, "What the hell is that?"
easily do that. You could easily
My
do
kids
that.
did this, man.
Yeah, yeah, you could easily do that, man.
Oh yeah,
It's not. It's something that they actually they teach electronics and
Yeah.
mechatronics
Oh yeah.
and stuff, and all. It's really goes under the disguise of robotics.
Well, doesn't the guy that owns Middle Point, Jerry?
Yes.
I thought he was a robotics teacher and
He
had
is.
like the Lego tournaments and all that stuff at his
Oh,
school.
I don't know about that, but I know
I thought they had some kind of programs that they kind of got you into the Lego based. What is it's not Robotech, that's the anime, but it's something like, it's got a name like that, but it's for Lego.
Lego, they have a Lego development board.
Yeah, I mean, there's people like building cars and shit out of Legos just so they could do it.
But I mean, there's more than just that. There's like Lego STEM programs. You know what I'm saying? So there's like Lego engineering technology stuff. So they're actually, so they have like motors and all these little sensors and stuff. They have the Lego, buttons on them and you can pop them on.
Have you ever seen that documentary? How they turned that company around and kind of branched out?
Dude, Lego's big in Germany.
They I mean, you talk about a business that's been around and went
they
from
may have fallen
a kids
off
tour.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I mean,
they may have fallen off a little bit, but they never really lost popularity, and especially in Germany. In Germany, they have Legoland. They have
yeah.
I think they have them here now too, don't they? They have them in the United States.
And I mean, it's not just for kids. I mean, some of the shit
it's adults.
I mean,
we went to Legoland. It was dope. We went to where else we go? We went to some other Playmobil. They have a place called Playmobil.
Okay, yeah.
And it's because they have Playmobil toys. So we took Lexi there in Germany, and man, that place was cool. Man, it's for adults too. And in Germany there's beer everywhere, so I would say
every place is an adult then, right?
Right.
Brand saying in San Diego they have that. So no, there was a time, man, when the Batman movies came out, the newer ones, the Dark Knight. I wanted that Lego tumbler, that Batmobile.
Oh yeah.
But that thing's like, I just don't know if I'd have the patience to sit there and put that damn thing together. It was like, I forget how many thousands.
I don't have patience.
Well, my kids and I were gonna be like, let's buy it, and then we'll all hang out and we'll build it kind of every so often, and we'll keep adding it. And the closest we ever got to that, we bought some Lego like Marvel Universe Avengers play sets with I got the one of the Iron Man robot fighting the Hulk. That's about as advanced as I got, because I'm like, man, they're like, let's get the Millennium Falcon and all this stuff. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. It requires a lot of time, man.
Then
I'm all for time with my kids, but
I'm like, there's a table I got to leave out and all these small pieces, and we got dogs running around. You don't think that thing's just going to get destroyed or eaten?
It's like doing a puzzle.
Yeah, right. And you always end up with a couple pieces missing.
You can't do that when you have a household running about. You can't have a dang big puzzle going on the dining room table or something.
It better have like 12 pieces.
Right. Yeah, you better be one of those easy little 5.
Yeah. You just slide the tiles around.
Right, where you can't actually remove any of the pieces.
Yeah, it's just one empty spot, and it's just move it around to form it.
Oh, wow, this is fun. Look at me go.
Well, dude, I've kept you on here for like almost 2.5 hours.
I know. It's crazy.
I know. We just get on here and just start. See, this is why I don't normally have an agenda. I just kind of get on here and just stream of conscious, and I kind of pick up on where people want to go, and we just kind of talk. And
I'm good with that, man.
Facebook hasn't kicked me off here yet, so apparently we're not that controversial.
No, I don't think we were too controversial tonight, especially.
Maybe we need to try harder so we can.
You don't want to get kicked off, man. You don't want to be shadow banned. I don't know which is worse, to actually be kicked off and know that nobody's looking at the stuff that you're putting, and not be able to post anything, or to be posting stuff and nobody be able to see it.
Yeah.
And you think they can. That might be worse.
Yeah, I told Jenna, I'm like, I think I'll start going live, because I was doing lives, like I would just get out there and jam and stuff, and I'm like, well, at least this I can talk to people that might know something, It's like, people don't want to see me sitting there going, hey, this is a song I wrote, and they're just like, what the fuck, go away.
Some people probably do want to see you do that.
But I mean, there's with COVID going on, I have lots of buddies that are professional musicians. I mean, that's literally how they make their money,
That's
and
what I was saying earlier.
that shit dropped, man. And these guys, like I said, they've been doing this for years. And,
but yeah, you have to change gears and find a different way.
and
to
they
get
were
it out there.
doing, yeah, they were doing live streams for donations and shit. And it's like, damn, man. I mean, one of the industries that you kind of think about, and you're like, there's probably always going to be bars and restaurants, and then just hold my beer. This is, nobody could have really predicted how this stuff played out, but
Nope.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
And I don't care who would have been in charge of whatever. It doesn't matter because the things it hit the fan good. So
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy how that went down. I mean, Jen and I, luckily, we're in careers that we could work from home. So luckily,
yeah, me too. Thank God.
We weren't as disrupted as some of our friends that lost their jobs or all kinds of stuff going on. But
we were impacted. I think the biggest impact we had was the kids.
Yeah. You got your kids are younger, so they suddenly were home all the time, and then suddenly you're the ones teaching them every day and making sure they're doing the lessons. Well, that would have been. See, we had some college kids that had to come home, so they're we're still doing.
That's not quite that bad, though.
No, it is when you think
autonomous at that point,
right? Yeah, they just stay in the room, but the funny thing was early on, most of them work in restaurants and retail.
Oh
which
yeah,
is the biggest. So they lost their jobs, and then they started getting the unemployment, and the unemployment was pretty sweet. And then they're like, well, and early on, don't get me wrong, it's like from health concerns, we'd rather you not be working. I mean, it doesn't. But then after a while, it's like they're like, shit, I'm making more money off unemployment than I am going out and trying to find a job. And I'm like, that's not going to last, right?
That's the pitfall. That's the only pitfall that comes along with those programs is that. So
so it was like it's been kind of a reckoning now to get them, back to motivated and
that's kind of
all that stuff. But
I think that's kind of the mentality with the stimulus things. That it's like, do we want it, and do we want to get used to that? Like I don't think that's something we want to get used to, or we want to be doing too regularly. So I think to keep it at a minimum is probably best. Yeah. Not saying a lot of people don't need a lot of things, but what's going to be worse? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm reluctant to even speculate what the future holds, because after 2020, in my way of thinking, all bets are off, man. I mean, if you would have told me the shit that went down in 2020 was going to go down before it did, I would have been like, that's the craziest. That's crazier than any paranormal theory or thing that you've ever thrown my way. And then it was like, nope,
I'm not for lockdowns. I know that. I'm not for
it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I get some of where it's going from, but there's some things it's like, well,
it's not working, man.
I mean, it's like it's okay to do this. Yeah, it's okay to do this, which feels very similar, but it's not okay to do this.
Well, they're trying to make you think that you can avoid getting it completely.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like there's a level of danger that we all face every day when we go out into the world. And the only reason we face that level of danger and we take the risks, the calculated risks that we take, is because they're calculated risks. Yeah. We know we got to put food on the table. We know the world's got to keep rolling on. We know we can't.
And the longer we're in this situation, the more tolerance of risk I think that people are willing to take. I think early on, people were a lot more like, oh shit, I'm just going to lock this shit down. I'm going to start hoarding and all that.
Nobody knows what's going on.
Right, because it's all and then after a while, like, well, shit, I'm 6 months in, I still haven't caught it. Maybe it's not that big of a deal.
Well, not only that, but you start getting a better picture of what's actually going on. Like in the beginning, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know if it was airborne. We didn't know if it was. We didn't know what was going on, and there's so much conflicting, this, that, and the other. And even to this day, the media still lies to us every day, and they tell us all kinds of lies. So it's hard to really distinguish between what's true and what's not true. And It's like they were beating us over the head with it, and they had the doomsday thing going on. Yeah. They had the doomsday the counter with the death toll on it.
Well, that was tough for me because
and that was kind of weird for me, man. It was like, why? It was like if you turn on CNN, there was going to be that death counter right there. Why?
And then there was all the how they coming up with the stats, and then there was a lot of misinformation about, oh, well, if this person, they really didn't die from COVID. There was other circumstances, but we're tagging that as that. It's like, okay, what?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's
shady.
Yeah. So, and then that opens the door for, hey, some of these what you thought were maybe crazy conspiracy theories. Maybe there's some stuff to it, because if it's willing to do this piece, what's to say? There's all kinds of stuff. And then it's your point. There's all this back and forth, and you don't know.
There's a lot of and you don't know who to believe and who not to believe.
Yeah. And
you can't believe just CNN because I mean, they're obviously biased towards one side, and everybody's biased. So you can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't. There's no place you can go.
Yeah, there's no
unbiased. For
every channel or source that you find that it says this, you're going to find one that says that's bullshit.
Right.
There's just that.
So what I do is I just try to look up multiple sources on the same thing, and I try to I fact check the important stuff for myself. I don't go on Google and look up in Google fact check and go into the fact checker and do that. I have a brain, and I know how to basically navigate the internet. I know how to. I've been to college. I know how to search for for scholarly articles on things. Like I know how to look up things and tell if it's BS or not. And a lot of times you can tell just by looking at the website that it came from, if it's BS or not. People just don't look at that. They don't look at it.
Check.
See the headline. They see the headline. And just share it up. And they don't even care what the article actually says, or who said it, or if it was satire or was it not satire.
I get all my facts from the Onion.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Oh God, and it's like or like the Babylon Bee or something like that. Yeah. It's like it's obviously satire, but but anyway. So I don't know, man. I don't think lockdowns are good. I think that's silly. I think it just when you're faced with a lot of people having to feed their kids.
Yeah.
The choice between having to feed your kid or take that tiny percentage chance of catching a disease that is cold-like, flu-like, and that you're most likely not going to die from.
Right.
And the odds are you might not even have symptoms from it.
Yeah.
If I have to calculate whether or not I'm going to do that and feed my kids, I'm definitely going to choose my kids. So I can see.
Yeah, it's got to look out for your family.
Because for me personally, it hasn't affected me because I work in my basement, right? So, but that doesn't mean that I don't know people who have kids that it does affect. And I'm retired. I'm retired in the Army, so I get a retirement check. But that's. I don't live so like I say, I don't live off ghost boxes. I could really just sit in the house and not do anything if I wanted to and live off my retirement. But, I do all this stuff on the side, but luckily I don't have to go out and do it. But I have had to go out and, film and stuff during this whole thing, this pandemic or whatever. And it's crazy, but, you do what you got to do. It's like when you film, like, it seems silly when you're doing it. Everybody's wearing masks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems silly, but when you start thinking about it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to produce it like a TV show, and they're all based out of California, so that's difficult to do anything when you're based out of California right now.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're there. I mean, but even if you leave, they're still watching you. I mean, you still work for. So everybody's like wearing masks all the time, even in the car, and I'm like, man, that's wild. But it's because, like, if one per that they're so close together all the time, the crew, that if one person catches COVID or whatever, then it's going to spread.
Right.
And if that happens, they're going to get shut down.
And they can't, even if a small risk, it's still a percentage risk. And it's like the impact to that.
And especially depending on the importance of that show. How important is this show? You know what I mean? And so it's like, we don't want to take any chances of anything going wrong, especially when there's things you can do to mitigate it. And also there's insurance reasons. Like, insurance is also something else you have to take into consideration now. Certain companies require you to wear a mask at all times when you're on the clock. So, I started thinking about it that way. I'm like, well, they're on the clock.
So, like, are you saying that you guys, as the cast or the actors, you'd wear a mask, and then once they actually put you on camera, you'd take it off, but you'd have to put it back on when you weren't on camera?
There's testing. Yeah, you get tested. You get tested. So there's testing.
Yeah, so they were doing the testing too, obviously, yeah.
My lettering's, my hat's crooked, head's crooked. Yeah, so there's test. So you take a test before you go.
Yep.
And a lot of times I'll take a test when you get wherever you're going, and the crew's constantly taking tests. And
do they I know they film a lot of that stuff over a short period of time. Are a lot of the episodes? Do they basically like almost quarantine you guys all in one big area? Like, they test everybody, and then they put you all up in like hotels, and let's film this season, and then we're done?
They can't really quarantine you.
Okay.
But well, I mean, for some people, it depends, right? Like, I guess it depends. They could quarantine you if they put it in your contract, I guess, for you to agree to these conditions where you would agree to, I mean, they physically can't hold you and keep you caged somewhere, but they could make it a rule. And
I know the last season, you ever watched Forged in Fire, that show?
I have actually watched the episode of.
So they make knives and stuff. It's kind of a guilty pleasure Jenna and I watch. Well,
right. It's like
she follows the judges, and they were talking about for their season, they all got tested. They put like the whole crew in up in a hotel, and they basically and then however long it takes to film the whole series, I forget how many episodes they have, but they literally, let's say it took 2 weeks. They did as much of that all in that time frame because they had kind of controlled environment then, where they've tested everybody's clean from COVID, take them on set, they do all the stuff, take them back, and then they're done. So I didn't know if it was to that level. And again, I mean, yeah.
No, I mean, there's only a certain. I mean, I think there's only a certain level of, like
It probably depends on the ratings and the popularity of the show.
How much money does the show have? What's the budget like? What kind of show? Because some shows obviously have bigger budgets than other shows. So the lower budget shows are going to be more figuring things out for themselves, ways they can mitigate.
A lot more Zoom calls versus on-site stuff.
Oh yeah, well I did a lot of Zoom stuff, so I've done a lot of Zoom stuff. So yeah. But yeah, it's mitigatable. It's doable. I get it. I'm not one of these anti-mask people.
I'm not either.
Hey, if you want to wear, if wearing a mask is keep everybody shut up and we can move on about our lives, fine.
Yeah, I don't consider myself.
I don't care about wearing a mask. If I'm not gonna like carrying anybody for not wearing a mask, but I'm not gonna like.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, I tend to lean towards. To me, it's not that much of an inconvenience to do, but.
Yeah, that's why I do.
There's some people are like, they're taking away our freedoms, and this is the gateway. Once you make you wear a mask, and they're going to take your guns away. And I'm like,
they're not really enforcing it. I haven't seen anybody
I haven't
down for not wearing a mask or anything like that. It's not happening on a mass scale anyway, if it is happening. So when that starts happening, yeah, okay, all right.
Well, you can't expect.
That's a bit of that's ridiculous. Like,
unless to your point.
Beating the hell out of them.
You can't expect some of these places, these kids that are working at like the whatever department store down the street, to go up to these people and be like, "Excuse me, you're not wearing a mask. I need you to put one on." That's just an exercise in futility, like these Walmart stuff, right? Where Yeah, these people aren't security guards. They're just people just trying to earn a living, and now you're basically going up and telling them they have to enforce these rules. It's like, but then the flip of that is, okay, then what do? Do you hire actual, security or health security professionals? And then people will be like, oh, they're bringing in the SWAT teams in the police state.
You already know if somebody walks into Walmart right now, today, and they're not wearing a mask, and they get into the store, that they have some sort of agenda at that point. They don't want to put a mask.
Yeah, it's not going to be like, oh, I totally forgot.
It's not going to go well.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to walk up to them and go, sir, I know you're not wearing a mask. Did you forget your mask? Oh, sorry, sir. No, it's going to be like,
oh, my bad. I forgot I was wearing. Yeah. I just seen 100 other people wearing one. I didn't realize I wasn't.
Yeah, I totally. Yeah.
Go ahead and get your phone out, go on TikTok live, and and record the Karen, because you're going to have an issue.
Yeah.
But you're going to have, and maybe we need that in society. Maybe we require those people that don't want to do anything you tell them to. Maybe that's the further end of the spectrum. And if you don't have the further end of the spectrum, you're not going to have the.
That's kind of what we talked about, right? The total people that believe in everything, and the skeptics that don't believe anything.
Right.
But that's also freedom, right? It's kind of
it's freedom.
It's kind of like, in order to enjoy these things, we got to let these things happen too. And maybe we don't agree with it, but it's still protected, and you just kind of suck it up and move on with it. That's, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I'm for keeping the peace, man. So
yeah,
putting a piece of cloth over my face is going to make somebody, I've kind of actually gotten where I dig it. So it's not even a big deal anymore. I don't even care anymore. It's like, cool. I don't have to show my face anymore.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like, I don't really even have
I can go places in my pajamas and stuff, and nobody even knows who I am. I'll be dressed like a crazy person.
Yeah, it's the only time that you can walk in. You can walk into a store. You can walk into a store in a mask, and people just be like, "Yeah, whatever."
Hair's all crazy. Yeah. Just look up. Don't care.
People don't matter. Yeah, it's a chaotic time, man. We're definitely a new ground, new terrain.
Matter of fact, I think we should go to full face masks.
Well, I don't
think it's strict enough. I don't think the rule is strict enough. I think we should all have to wear full face masks.
So we were gonna
looking at.
I was gonna take my my two adult kids to Disney last year. Early in the year, we had planned on going. We were going to go to the Disney Star Wars stuff and had it all set up. We were going to go later in the year, and then COVID hit, and it was like, no. And I said, they're totally missing an opportunity where they not only say you're required to wear a mask, you have to wear a Mandalorian mask. And I'm like, I would totally. Or any kind of Star Wars mask. Darth Vader. Yeah, you got to do Darth Vader, C-3PO. Yeah, I'm like, there's an opportunity right there where people would be like, I'm on board. I'll totally wear a mask if I can wear one of the character masks. And it would obviously have a real mask inside or whatever. But
I was 3D printing. I was messing around with 3D printing like some cool looking masks. There in the beginning of the whole thing, the Coof pandemic, and that was fun. That was fun making all the different masks and stuff. But yeah, I was getting creative with it, man. I was gonna put fans and lights on it and all kind of stuff. But I didn't have time. I figured ghost boxing would go in the tank. I figured I'd just be making my own and nobody'd be buying them. And I was like, oh, I'm about to have all kinds of free time. Ain't nobody.
And what the hell happened, man? Somebody actually liked them.
Well, it's like
that's a great problem to have.
My idea. It's like I don't have anything to do. I want to buy a ghost box. It's like, oh shit, okay, well. And so I've actually done pretty good selling ghost boxes.
You wonder if how much the whole COVID thing with people, and maybe this is a false assumption that people have more free time or they're cooped up more, that's garnered more interest in paranormal stuff because maybe there's more shows to watch or there's an uptick.
That might have something to do with it, but I think also another thing we're going to see is a big spike in like spiritualism type things, and there is going to be a spike in paranormal belief, I think, And I think that's going to be because we're going through something that is similar to what ignited the spiritualism movement in the first place,
Yeah, yeah.
which is the Civil War and all the deaths that happened because of the Civil War. So you do have a lot of people that have had lost loved ones and friends and all
Yeah.
kinds of
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
you know, relatives and unexpectedly or sooner, or you know, just because they had you know, underlying condition or whatever. And so they've lost people that they weren't expecting, not just older senior people, but younger people too that had other things, right?
Right.
What, for whatever reason, people have lost a lot of people this year. There's a lot of people lost a lot of people this year. Is a better way to put it. So, and it's not just going to end now. It's going to continue on probably throughout this year, at least I would say. You know, I don't know for sure, but I would guess just from looking at what's going on and where we're at now, this is going to last. It's going to. I don't see any end in the immediate future.
It's not going to be a quick fix.
So there's more death to come. There's more pain, more people that are going to be looking for answers, more people that are grieving for you know, the sudden loss of their loved ones. And we're not talking about just regular loss of loved ones either. Some of these are bad, like you know, somebody's dying with this thing in the hospital, and you can't even be in there.
Can't go visit them. Yeah, you can't console them or whatever. Give final.
In the beginning, we couldn't even go and be at the graveside by our lost loved ones, you know, while they were being buried. So there's a lot of. I think the atmosphere is right for there to be another kind of spiritualism.
No, that's very valid. That's very valid. Huh.
I don't know, man. I'm just you know, it's possible, right? I mean, people look for answers. They look to the paranormal. They look to the supernatural for answers when they're grieving a lot of times. And
sure,
I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a projection.
Yeah, sometimes
valid.
Sometimes it helps them with closure and things like that.
It does.
I mean, even if
sometimes
it's
it can be unhealthy, but then sometimes
true. Yeah. I mean, you hear the stories about how that sometimes plays out, or people manipulate that or take advantage of that. But then you also hear the positive stories too. So, yeah, huh. Well, man, we are at 2 hours and 42 minutes, and I could sit here and probably talk to you for a lot longer, but it's getting at this point. I think we're good.
I'm playing video games after this. So.
Oh yeah, I don't want to keep you from that. You're an hour in front of me, right? So it's 10:14 my time.
I'm in your past. I'm in the past.
That's right, man. Well, congratulations on your possible Super Bowl coming up.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah. The Chiefs. Yeah, I don't watch football, so.
Well, you're still part of the city, right? Now, my daughter's boyfriend spent most of his life in Kansas City. So for Christmas,
hell, the Chiefs been going every year, man.
Oh, I know, but you know, we're Cincinnati Bengals
to go to the Super Bowl
and never win. I can tell you, being a Cincinnati Bengals fan, it's much worse not to go at all than it is to go and lose. Because at least
you get a ring anyway, right? You get a
at
ring
least you get something to get there.
You get a ring anyway, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, the loser's ring I think might be worth less, but still, it's still a ring.
You still got a ring since I played in the Super Bowl, whatever.
Yeah.
27, 58. I have no idea what number we're on now. What is it?
Well, no,
Super Bowl what?
Kind of as a joke, because our family's all Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, we're from Cincinnati, and it can be a hard line to be in. But what's
the Super Bowl number that we're on?
Oh shit! You know, I should know this.
You should. You bring up the Super Bowl. You better know what the Super Bowl number is, man.
I'm not that big of one.
Yeah, I used to keep up with it, but I don't have time anymore, so I just watch a lot of YouTube. And
my son's the big Super Bowl. Is it 55?
55. Okay.
All right. It's LV. Yeah, 55. Yep.
Sounds right.
But yeah. So she's had to wear Kansas City Chiefs stuff. As kind of a joke, we bought them both Kansas City Chiefs stuff, and then my son, his girlfriend is an LA Rams fan, so we bought them LA Rams, but he didn't have to wear his. So
You said the Bengals, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I always thought the Bengals had the coolest helmets.
they do. I mean, I'll argue that to my that. And now the original one that just said Bengals was pretty lame, but when they came out with the tiger striped one, it was like, yeah,
Oh yeah, dude, that was dope, bro. I used to play football cards, and I used to love the Bengals.
Yeah, they had one of the best. They had one of the best uniforms, in my opinion. I mean, I'm a little bit biased, but yeah.
Right. I grew up with college football.
Okay.
Mostly more than anything else. It was Gamecocks, Clemson.
Okay. Yeah.
Furman University. The Paladins, all that. It was like college around South Carolina. It was local football was a big deal in South Carolina.
Ours college football up here would be you get the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, but really the big ones OSU, Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah,
that's the big team.
I never did. Even like when I was younger, I used to play a lot of football games. I never played Madden.
Okay.
I always played Game Day. Remember Game Day?
Yeah.
Do they still have Game Day?
I'd have to ask my son. I know he still plays all those.
It's probably in some form. They probably still have some form of college football game. But
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all college football, and we used to love to play that game, man. Game Day, yeah, I think it was Game Day 2000 was like one of my favorite ones. Long time ago.
Been a little bit of time. That's hard to believe, though, man.
2 decades, bro.
It's been 20 years since 2000.
Decades.
Yeah, I remember being a fledgling person in the IT department, and people were all worried about when it flipped to 2000.
Oh yeah,
screw up their old computer setups. And we had all kinds of shit going on for that, and nothing broke.
Right. Yeah.
Had all these consultants come in, high dollar guys on mainframes and shit to reprogram.
There's a lot of people made a lot of money, and
it was ridiculous.
They knew damn well nothing was going to happen.
It was ridiculous.
The people that made all the money are the ones who didn't or who knew nothing was going to happen.
And it sounded really believable, even being a techie guy at the time. I'm like, okay, yeah, these old systems, that's that, and they were talking about older systems that were like mainframes, and that's like the bread and butter stuff. And it's like, well, we can't afford to not work on to get this fixed. And then most of the people that had those skill sets were long gone or were close to retired because nobody uses that shit anymore. Right. And then it's like, oh, just kidding. Well, we're bringing them back at a premium. It was crazy.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, we made it. We made it to COVID. So I mean,
I partied right through it. By the way,
yeah,
I partied right through the year 2000 New Year's. I still remember that. I remember, I think Audio Slave played. It was like their opening premiere night. I want to say it was Audio Slave played like on the top of it was on Broadway. The Broadway, the front with lights, the marquee.
Yep.
Broadway. They played on top of the marquee right there. And I want to say that was like the first time I heard Audio Slave. I don't know if that was like premiere night that they ever did anything, but I was like, man, is that Chris Cornell?
Yeah.
Is that Rage Against the Machine playing?
It's like, what's up with that?
That's weird, man. But
I dig it, but it's weird.
It grew on me. But yeah,
I actually we were at a party, and I shut the power off to the house, and freaked out some people.
Oh, that's good, dude. That's good.
I was that dick, but
Yeah,
me and then they got pissed that they missed the ball dropping.
me and Katie had just gotten married. Actually, no, we got married. We got married. Was it like not even a year prior? Or no, not even a year. No, we just got married after that. Right. Yeah, it was after. Okay, yeah, we got married later on in 2000. So we got married that same year. So we were still dating back then.
Okay. So
that's been 2 decades. That's crazy, man. It feels like it's just yesterday.
I know. That's how it works, man.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get older. It's like the stuff just flies by. My parents always said that, and I was like, what do you know, old people? Yeah. But now my kids are saying that to me, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, I know.
All right, man. I'm going to shut this one down, and we'll talk again, and we'll have to get together soon. I don't know if you're going to be in this neck of the woods anytime soon. I don't know what you got coming up.
Ohio this weekend.
Are you?
Yep. So
Whereabouts?
Where Austin is.
Oh, okay. Cool. Very cool.
He's dragging me out there.
What is that, like an 8-hour trip for you guys? I don't.
10 hours.
10. Ooh, yeah. That'll be fun. We're supposed to go.
So man, we're gonna have to start meeting in the middle somewhere.
I know. We're going to like. Is it April? Driving out to like Iowa City. To shit. What is it called? I should know this. Some kind of manor that's out there. It's supposed to be the most haunted place in Iowa. And Jenna was like, "How far away is that from Kansas City?" Huh? Edinburgh. That's it. Edinburgh. Yeah.
It's like it's about 2 hours.
Yeah, and she's like, "How far away is that from there?" And I'm like,
yeah, "We'll come out there and hang out with y'all if y'all go to Edinburgh. That's close."
I'm like, "We'll see," because
I haven't been out there, so
I went to Iowa City. I flew out there one time for one of the first IT jobs I had. That's the only place in Iowa I've ever been to was Iowa City.
I surprisingly haven't been to a lot of the haunted, the famous haunted places around here.
We were talking, before all this COVID shit hit. We were like, we want to go out west. We want to start. We've done a lot, through our Midwest. We'd like to do more New England. We've done some in the South, but we want to go out west and head that way.
Dude, I love out west.
Yeah,
I love out west, like when you get into like Nevada out west.
Yeah, see, that's I'd like to do that,
man.
To kind of tap into like the Native American type stuff and more of that kind of
stuff. We went out there and dude, like we should have talked about this earlier.
Well, we can do it. We got a minute.
We went to Nevada and did some Bigfoot stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And some ghost hunting stuff. And we were with Bigfoot hunters, and they were looking for a red-headed giant. And
what would you guys done if you found it, though? See, that's with ghosts.
I don't know what they were planning on doing.
Because my thing is,
I was not really looking for a Bigfoot. They were very prepared.
They should be, because so you're on a ghost hunt, you might get touched, you might hair pulled, maybe worst case scenario, you get levitated or something crazy, and that's what you see in the movies. But Bigfoot, man, you come across Bigfoot, and you're dealing with it.
I say they were strapped because of Bigfoot, but I don't know. It could be.
Did you look around and make sure you could run faster than the rest of those guys?
There was nowhere to go out there, man. I mean, it's in the desert, dude. There was nowhere to go. I literally drove probably 2 hours out into the desert, across dirt and sand, and
oh wow,
and out into the desert in Nevada, to this place called the Lovelock Caves. And you can go out there today. There's a little. You're gonna have to contact the guy locally in the town and get him to like take you out there, because you're not gonna find it on your own. I doubt it very seriously, unless you're like familiar with the area.
Sounds like the start of a horror movie.
It's totally, dude. It felt like one when we were driving out there, dude. And then we get out, and I got a bunch of ghost hunting stuff, and I got like ghost boxes in my hands, and these dudes are, I'm standing there, and they're like, "You ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And they're like,
they got deer calls, stuff like that,
and you get pistols on their.
You're out here with a scratchy radio.
I'm ready. I got a broke radio. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to hit a Bigfoot over the head. But I don't know if it. That's my cat. I don't know if it was Bigfoot. Oh God, you're loud.
Oh jeez.
This is my cat.
Hey cat. What's the cat's name?
Tiger.
Hey Tiger. My dog's been down at my feet snoring the whole night.
He's got an eating disorder. He's a
big boy. Yeah, he's a big girl.
He's on the heavy side.
Well, I can't blame.
We're watching our weight.
Yeah.
No, I know. Okay. All right. Well, I got to go feed this dude.
Sounds like a crying baby, man. Definitely letting you know. No, that's cool. I didn't know you did the Bigfoot thing. We'll have to.
Yeah. We spent like a week out in Virginia City, ghost hunting in Virginia City.
Now, was this for a show, or was this just for?
They were filming for maybe doing a documentary or something down the road, and so they have a bunch of footage. don't know if they're going to do anything with it or whatever. So it was just kind of a personal experience from Katie more than anything. But it was fun, man. There's some crazy stuff out there. I know, we got to do all the main places right there. The Washoe Club, the Mackey Manor.
Okay.
Up there in Virginia City, and we stayed at the Silver Dollar Inn. Which is supposed to, in the most haunted room and all that stuff. So it was cool. It was fun. It was the first time I've ever been out west.
Yeah, I've been out a few times, but not for like ghost hunting stuff. So that's what I'd like to get out there and see that. Definitely be cool.
I know Tiger. He's up here. He's like, this cat is huge. He's stretched up. He's just right out of view of the camera.
It's like, feed me, Seymour.
Paul. He's reaching up and
grabbing cat's foot. Everyone,
feed me, dude. Hey, dude.
Pretty soon Katie's gonna get yanked down, and the cat's gonna be right there. I'll eat your damn face. Where's my meow mix, bitch?
He's so funny, dude. All right, Tiger.
All right, man. Well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll definitely have to do this again. But again, everyone, Katie Stafford with Supernatural Inc. He's the man. Does the ink box, the nanocoms. He's got some other cool stuff coming, and his tiger. He's got a tiger paw there. That's the best. We need an animated GIF of that. That's the best part of the show. Oh, you're killing me. That's hilarious. All right, man. I'll let you feed your cat. Thanks again, brother. Have a good one, man. See you.